Get hyped, get pumped. It's episode 345 of GI Joburg. My name is Steve. I'm your host. We are going deeper into the Madman's Lair with Paul.
Hey. Hey, everybody.
And Rob.
And how's it, Steve?
Good afternoon.
Rob.
And this weekend saw a premiere of a new playmotion adventure by Wilde Productions, a family affair. We have the creators in the studio to talk about it. I hope everyone's seen it. Link is in the description below. If you are watching this live, stick with us. Or maybe jump off, check it out. It's 15 minutes of awesome action, and hopefully we'll still be jawing about it when you come back. Introducing to everyone, Tim and Asher Wilde. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks, Joburg, for having us.
Hell yeah.
Dudes, you are welcome into the fray. Special Forces was something that Paul thought up of a way for us to use our platform to give other playmotion filmmakers an opportunity to show off their stuff. Dudes, how did this production come about? Like, let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. Like, so where do you begin?
Yeah, the quick background was this was supposed to be our 60-second submission for Demons, which clearly went far beyond the time frame. I was like, maybe he'd be a little forgiving with 2 minutes and then 3 minutes. But the longer we started writing stuff or adding to it, it just kept going longer and longer. I said, forget it. We weren't going to make the deadline anyway. Let's just finish it. And I was getting so frustrated. We'll talk about some of those complications in a minute. But I was like, I just wanted to do a collaboration for the first time. I thought it'd be cool. I love film. Asher's he's my son. He's in high school still, and he's taking photography classes, and he's learning a lot of that kind of stuff that I know nothing about. I understand how to appreciate cinematography, and I can direct how I want a shot, and he executed a lot of those shots with limited equipment. But we just kept going. It was just a lot of fun. But the further we got along, and it was more despairing and discouraging and frustrating, and I became a little more irritable probably than.
Congratulations, you're a director.
Yeah. Paul and Rob know my process as well. And then, the deeper we get in, the fewer words exist between us. It's like just grunts, like
yeah. But I only have my boys every other weekend and on Wednesday nights, and so time was, and I've had every other week during the summer, and so we were just running out of time, and I was like, hey, we just put so much effort into it already. We're just gonna finish it. We missed the deadline for Demons. I said, forget it. I'll just send it to Steve. Plead for him to just cut something together because I couldn't look at it anymore. I was so mad about it, and I was like, I couldn't edit it. There was no way I was gonna make a sequence. You're much better at doing those narratives with footage that you can put it together, make it make sense. And I'm not good with that language. And so I sent it your way, and we watched it this morning. I had Lance, who was my best friend. He came over and he helped. He went to film school as well. And he came and we watched it this morning with Silas, rolled him out of bed to watch it. And he was just there helping against his will. He was our water boy. It was so hot. But we all watched it, and we were just blown away with what you guys did with our mediocre offerings, and it was fantastic. We couldn't have been happier.
Look, you downplay your role in the sort of the edits of it, but everything was in sequence. Like the whole narrative, like it wasn't like you were sending me unedited footage. You were sending me everything in sequence, and I just was able to kind of, just truncate everything, squash it down, compress it, make it fit the pace of Paul's soundtrack. Like, it's almost entirely tracked by Paul local music.
Yes.
Thank you, DJ Deadly Pencils.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, just Asher, not he was running around the house praising it, but like every time we watched through it several times because we kept talking about different things and went back to rewatch it. So like, the 1,200 views, like probably 20 of those was us.
Yeah, man.
Just from the conversation, it's not like we couldn't get enough of ourselves. I didn't want to look at it, but the sound though, Paul, the score just added so much to it. It was so powerful, and that's what score is supposed to do: the ambiance and really communicating the tone. What because you can only do so much with visuals with little plastic action figures and and a swiveling light with a red blanket wrapped around it to make a spotlight. But
Yeah, man, guerrilla filmmaking is
Thanks, guys.
yeah, you know. But yeah,
But
the
it's
story
also-
was
I mean,
awesome.
editing will do so much, but if you don't have good footage from the start, there's only so much you can do. So you guys did. I mean, it was awesome. It was really cool to kind of like add voices to this entire adventure. It was great fun.
We couldn't wait to hear the dialogue. Like that's the other thing we were talking about this morning. We were like, I can't wait to see it because I want to know what the story is.
Yeah,
I don't know this is about.
just to let everyone in on the big picture here. Like, Tim didn't send me notes or scripting or anything. He sent me the footage in sequence, but 0 lines.
Wow, this is like the proper Marvel Comics method of creating a thing.
Exactly.
Like you
Fill in
send
the word
visuals,
balloons
and
afterwards.
you invented the story. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense to me. That's actually amazing.
Look, the
You just
strength
visually
of
told
it
a
was
story, and Steven
the
just was
visual
like-
storytelling made it very cut and dry in terms of like what kind of story you were telling. So giving these boys their lines was actually quite a pleasant exercise. I've
When
never
we
worked like that.
eventually
Glad
gave
to
you the
hear
lines
it.
back.
Yes,
Throwing your crap
you weren't the
in.
only one hit with delays there, Tim. Every cog in the process sort of takes a little while to mesh.
Yeah.
You know?
And
But
it's
how many
kinda-
weeks did it take to sort of get all the footage done? Because working week to week and only alternating weeks, like, it must have been a bit frustrating. Like, I want my boys back. I need to shoot something.
3 or 4 weeks
I think so,
collectively. Like
Okay.
it wasn't like all day every day kind of thing. It wasn't like how you used to pack up Rob and go to the beach and say we're filming and
And it was fairly organic. I mean, you had an idea of what you wanted to get achieved by the
it
end
was
of the day.
organic. The original story was just 4 demons. It was going to be the lab attack, or well, there was going to be the found footage thing, but it was just going to be Dr. Mindbender doing his thing, and then the Joes just hitting the door, infiltrate from different spots. I wanted to have hit and run, sneak in, and kind of it all go all at once. And you guys did that awesome. And then go in and then find the wreckage, fight the monster, get Hawk out. But then it turned into, well, they wouldn't have this awesome base without some more lengthy patrols. And so I wanted to have a helicopter and have them start from if they're going to run in on an off striker, they got to have some, they're not just cruise right up to the front door. So we had to extend out a little bit to give it some more background, but they just kind of grew and grew into more context, added more time. And then the set of the lab itself, which we were really proud of, it was a pain in the butt to shoot from different angles because you had to keep moving things
we had
just
2 walls we were filming.
So that's what we did. There's right here. We had a card table laying on the ground right here on this carpet, and then we had these shoe racks, and there are 2 tiers, so we would lay them sideways, so it would be the back wall. So that was your black.
That's
So we had to
great.
keep moving it side to
we
side
had-
to side to
we had
side
2
as we
walls
shot.
at a time the whole time.
But the problem is, if we had to get closer or deeper in the set, we had to move the table forward so we could work from behind it. But then that slides figures knocking over and furniture around. So that was the big time. That's why by the time I was done. That's why, as I told you, Steve, the hand-to-hand melee combat stuff I was very frustrated. It was achy, even on this carpet, to get on the ground and
Gotta get it done. Just throw the figures around.
Yeah, I was just out of hell. It was like the last couple of days, like the hell with it, sword, blah. I was just done with that. I want to package it and let Steve just do his miracles. But
Sounds like a play motion, all right. Oh boy.
yeah, I just want to say
Backbreaking.
before we go on, I want to give Asher credit though, because as Steve just said, a lot of the footage was all pulled together. I would say what I wanted. I would describe what the shot's going to look like. He doesn't know any of the figures, and we didn't have a storyboard with Post-it notes, nothing. And he just went on my cues. Sometimes me getting frustrated and him rolling with it. But he was very patient. But he's the one that would sit there in Adobe when I would go to work, and he would sit there and cut together, even to the extent of the shot with the camera of the the camera shot of the camera and then zooming in and the
That was a great shot.
that was all him.
Mhm.
And I told him I would love to do that, and he's like, he just made it happen. I came back
Oh,
from work,
yeah.
and he was like, "Watch this, Dad." I was like, "Holy crap, that was better than I thought!" Like, it was so fun. But all the stuff that you got, Steve, was him throwing that together. He did great.
Props
After
to you,
it-
Asher. I'm curious now, buddy. What does GI Joe mean to you? Like, is there an affinity that you have for these playthings, or is it like I never want to see another one of Dad's dollies ever again?
Curious in getting into it, and he recommended some comics I should read to start off because I knew
Okay.
absolutely nothing about anything when I started.
Now I'm ignorant to the original ARAH run, so I was going to give him the Disclassify series, so he could get like a more modern take of the origins, but they wouldn't have any of the characters that he was playing with. So
Yeah. Well, because you picked all these weird obscure characters
Yeah.
because you wanted to appeal to the nerds.
well, there's a reason for that. They're heroes. You got to give it up for them.
Well, let's talk about the cast then. An interesting like cross section of eras as well. You've got
Yeah.
like late '80s guys, Scoop and Hit and Run, mixed
Yeah.
up with like a 90s palaver in
Barrel
Mirage,
Roll.
but in his like 2000s version, and then
Barrel-
Barrel Roll from like the mid noughties. Is he
Yeah.
the leader
Yeah.
on this mission?
Who, Barrel Roll?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't read the script, Steve.
You tell us, Stephen.
There was a comment actually that called it out, like saying a live comment, in fact, during the premiere, saying like, so I suppose Barrel Roll is in charge, and yeah, he would be the ranking officer. I mean, he is a pilot.
Yeah, see, and I had a question about that. I mean, my idea was, I mean, when and then Mainframe would be he's been on the team longest and he's the veteran. Is he
Sure.
the highest ranking of the group?
I think Mainframe's still an E4 or E5, which is fairly senior enlisted man, or middle of the road. But yeah, Barrel
He
Roll.
wouldn't have the experience of leadership.
Yeah,
Like, he
true.
would
Yeah.
kind of like follow orders, like tell me to do this thing and I'll do it
Yeah.
as well as I can.
and there is the point where he says, Mainframe, do this, and there was a little bit of dialogue, get the door or whatever. So he did kind of come off as a leader. But my question for you guys, and maybe this is for Steve or Paul, whose decision was it, and this isn't a creative argument, but to make Barrel Roll like a dick?
That was
I've never
mine.
read it that way. I don't remember his background exactly, but the whole thing with him and Blackout and the good brother and the bad brother thing, I was like, I never pictured him being like an ass, but he was, and it was good.
I
liked
totally
it.
played him that way.
Dead Cobra, tick, asshole, camera asshole.
Yeah,
Yep.
I had to go back and listen a couple times. Like, wait, what did he say?
That
Was that you, Paul? Were you doing that, or was that?
no, that was I was completely on script. Like for one of the very few times in GI Joburg history, I actually stuck like hard to the script. But I was worried that I couldn't, because when it started off, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm Cobra this and Cobra that guy. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, I'm Mind Bend. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Those are cool. I've got that range.
Yeah.
And then I go Mirage. Okay. And then I'm like Barrel Roll. I'm like, oh god. So how am I gonna make Barrel Roll and Mirage sound different? So I go and look up Barrel Roll's file card. Turns out he's from Ohio. And I'm like, okay, so what does that sound like? So I go do some research on that.
Yeah,
And I gave him like the worst Ohio accent ever, but I don't know what it is. I think it's just because I also don't like Barrel Roll. So I kind of played him as a bit like of a dick. I was like, "Ugh." But it was fun. It was like,
Well, if you read his file card, like he's very dedicated to what he wants to do. He's focused to an extreme. And I think the quote from his file card is, with me, it's not so much wanting to hit the bullseye as really hating to miss. So he's very focused. And I think that kind of level of focus can kind of come across as rude otherwise. So I think, he kind of mouths off to kind of like you're not getting this right. Who's this guy? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So
and also,
accurate.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
and let's not take away, like with every every play motion production and with every kind of production of this level, like whenever you're doing any kind of film or something, there's always some invisible hand that guides things, and that invisible hand guides things even harder when you're not given direction. So for example, Steve gave me the script and I went through it, and I'm doing these scripts and I'm trying to imagine based on what I've read on the script. And so this wonderful scene pops up, which I'm showing the viewers, but it's when Barrel Roll lands in a pod and he's all talking about like dropping off some weapons or whatever. He's got to take something to the lab, whatever. But this moment, now this was probably, I think this is the first line that I get to do as Barrel Roll. And so I'm trying to work out this accent, right? So I do this and I'm loving it. And I'm totally feeling it. And then it kind of like, it, what's the word? It dilutes across the production, but it kind of makes sense in the scene because he's disguised as a Cobra employee or a Mars employee. So like he is actually putting on a voice, and that's completely by accident. That just happened by accident, and I think Steve thought I was taking the piss, and I was, and I don't mean that in like a bad way. I was just having fun with it and trying not to be too serious, and yeah, it ended up being quite a fun scene. That.
Well, I think that was so a couple things you asked me about which characters and why. I mean, from when I first got Mainframe, he was going to be my tech in any of my play. I love having a sharpshooter, but I don't have an airtight or a good low light, and so I'm like, he's the next guy, and I think he's a great figure. He's not your typical O-ring. Yes, his hands are ridiculous. He looks like a Disney character, and his like head is way too small. But that's so you can put that awesome helmet.
That's that whole line.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But that helmet, though, and even though his looks, even without the helmet, I mean, that's a good sculpt of his face. In fact, when we had it on my huge 88-inch TV, when we were getting ready to go, you had the thumbnail of the shot with the silhouettes of them. Lance was sitting there, and he's like, "What is that?" Because he thought it was a real guy. Yeah. He thought it was a person, because that's how good the model is. Like it's a good sculpt, and it's disproportionate slightly, but it's awesome. But the way his rotating wrist makes it so he can hold that gun really well.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
Unless you're shooting with him in 105-degree temperatures, and I actually have 4 of him, 1 to be barrel roll and 3 to be the guys that come with the big jetpacks with the armor on. So I had to keep swapping out barrel rolls because he kept dropping his gun. So as you watch in the video, the early shots, he's just holding the briefcase and stuff, and the armor plates are there. But after a while, I had to get some putty to hold them on because they were just falling right off because it was so hot. Same thing with Hit and Run. My Hit and Run turned into a gummy thumbs. I'm not making that up. He could not hold his gear, and you know how tight those joints are. That's how hot it was. And there's a couple of shots where my hand is in there, and it's just glistening with sweat. You can see. And we're in Bountiful, Utah, right outside Salt Lake, and it's not normally that hot. But we were trying to hit those deadlines. But yeah, so
we didn't even hit it.
Yeah, so that's why Hit and Run. I learned about Hit and Run. I read his card years ago. It was actually the little trading card, those little things. That was my first exposure to him. Yeah, and I was like, Hit and Run is awesome, and that's where I learned about several of them. But the first time I got Mirage in the 2000s, when I started collecting with those new ones, he was my heavy gunner. Mirage is freaking cool, and no one ever uses them, and that was some of what I wanted to do with this.
Mirage.
Yeah, I wanted to use characters, spy troop stuff, the labs. I know you guys talked about this a few weeks ago that you hate that Dr. Mindbender, Paul, but I was like, he's in the lab, he's got to have the coat, and I'm not enough to have the Mindbender.
He has to be more hygienic. He can't be bare-chested in the science lab doing science. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Man, he is totally high. Mindbender's he's clean in a dirty way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's part of the magic of DNA. But that was also kind of I laughed when I saw that footage because
Mindbender.
I laughed and I saw it was that Mindbender. I was like, oh my god, it's that Mindbender.
we just said that's the worst one ever. And suddenly it's in this play
And it
motion.
was already there. That's the thing. You guys, in the last couple of months, you guys have been talking about. You talked about that Mindbender. You guys talked about not having any scoop adventures and all this stuff. I'm like, Steve's got it on his computer. He's like, all this stuff.
Yep. Stand by, boys. It's coming.
Yeah.
Easy fix.
I wanted to point out too, a scalpel. That was another thing. No one ever uses scalpel. He's awesome. But I want to point out
Cool looking figure.
when and Asher can attest to this, when Demons finally launched and we watched everyone else's stuff, I was like, our video is crap. But also a lot of stuff was used in other videos that we did not we had already filmed it. The silhouette from the Endor bunker, you know, like the interior shot with the light and everything. Like we'd already done that when we were talking about that shot. The zombie viper being used, the tox the decon suit viper or whatever.
What are they called?
The hazard viper.
Hazard viper, right?
Hazard
Yeah.
viper. Yeah.
And that's a modern era, and I'm a stickler kind of for modern era if I'm playing with them, because the zombie viper, that's fine because he's a creature and those extra limbs and joints work really well, and he's so and my favorite shot of him when he cuts off the hand, he's like, grrr, like the framing of that low angle. It looks awesome when you guys had it all done.
So good.
But that and the suit, because it's a big, huge radiation suit that's all baggy, you can't even tell that it's a modern era. So someone commented on that. I don't play too much with I have a bunch of them, the modern era, until I realized I don't want any more of them. But yeah, and I couldn't find them. They became too sparse to track down and everything. But anyway, that's the cast. And then Lady J. I noticed no one wanted to do a female voice. You've had some awesome Lady J dialogue in the past, but that's okay. We didn't do that.
I very selfishly wanted to keep it very in-house.
That's fine.
There was a line that I wanted to draw, and like I just wanted to divvy up the voices between myself, Paul, and Rob. Come pretty close to actually playing with my mates as a result. And yeah, Lady J, I think at that point, what would she have said?
Yeah.
Here I come.
Yeah, exactly.
Let her rip.
Yeah, it worked fine. And then lastly, of course, Hawk. Now, Steve,
cool version of Hawk.
Boss man.
You and Ben on your first
Chasing Joe.
Props, by the way. It's a fantastic series. I'm excited about that journey. But you guys had the Duke versus Flint conversation. You guys had a whole episode about that a long time ago. You guys have talked about this over and over and over. And every time I'm like, neither of them. It's freaking Hawk. Hawk is the
all right. Well, if I recall correctly, Ben said last week that like no one's a Hawk guy, surely.
Yeah,
but I'm a Hawk guy, and so are you, Tim.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I was never the Flight Brown Jacket cartoons Hawk guy, but like, and I one of our first conversations, Steve. This is the first one. The first one I had was the stupid soundbox backpack crap.
Oh yeah.
The one you guys did a great video of. What's that?
Sorry, I hit the wrong button and made you disappear momentarily, but now you're big.
Yeah.
Tell us all about.
But Hawk is the first time I got Hawk, I was in high school. That when I got the voice sound one, and I was like, that guy is freaking your champion. He's the guy that has it all bottled down, and he has to be organized and composed to be the leader. But like, it's kind of like Rambo in Last Blood, when he was like, I still have all the hate or whatever. It's just I keep a lid on it. That's Hawk with his composure. And the shot in Terminator 2 when it shows the future and it shows John Connor sitting there when he has the binoculars, he has this little cut on his face, is this hard Terminator. So like, that's Hawk. And first time I saw that toy, I was like, that's the man right there with his Simpsons tan and everything. It's awesome. but this
man with the tan cat.
So if you're going to capture a leader, that's who you capture. It's awesome. But that's the cast, man. Yeah,
it's a good.
So, I love this cast. By the way, when I saw like my name next to Barrel Roll and Mirage, I was very happy. Like happy because of Mirage, and interested because of barrel roll. I was not expecting to do a barrel roll voice ever, and now I have, and I've murdered it for generations, and it's great. And I think I'm gonna try and get better at doing that Ohio thing.
Because he's gonna appear in future GI Joburg videos.
Oh yeah, I think he's got it, because I've actually got the one with the sort of burgundy shirt. I got him. Yeah, I got that barrel roll, and then and
So
with
does
Mirage
Rob, I
now
think.
seeing
Burgundy.
I think so.
Or brown.
Yeah.
Sort of
it's brown or
Two-tone.
burgundy. It's like I mean, I play with it so much, you know.
Yeah.
it's
No,
fun.
there's like 4 versions. I think I have
right.
version 3 and Paul has version 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
His
Yeah.
has like a reddish jacket. Mine has like a proper
Yeah,
like
yeah,
gray
so-
brown jacket.
Yeah, and so
Because I was
he's
good
cool.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
But playing Mirage was fun, and I feel like I have to say this just in case it comes out. But also with Mirage, I try to play him like our very own Bart Simon. Try to get Bart's kind of vibe in Mirage
Yeah.
for no reason other than
No.
I just felt he worked, and it was easy for me to relate to get into that kind of voice. So
Yeah.
but dude, some of the lines, that's mad. Can I show you guys? Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say because he came with the same that big huge cannon that Hawk comes with. In my mind, I was like, there's only other than I'm not talking about roadblock size guys, but like I was like, if you're gonna have a gunner, Hawk and Mirage, that says something that they're carrying the same freaking cannons. That says something about Mirage. That he's like that's a signature weapon right there. That's a cool gun. And
I think and I think our love for that sound or talking Battle Commandos Hawk is, well, my love for it at least is quite academic. Like it's out there. I love that toy and I love that design. But I just want to show you guys. There's an image as well, and I just want to like this moment when we are introduced to Mirage. I love this because it was. Firstly, I like the framing and I like the idea and everything. I just, sorry, I did crop it to an extreme 16:9 here. This is more so that the people who are watching the YouTube video can go and actually watch the actual show on YouTube. But anyway, when we're leading up to this and I saw this line hanging from the tree with a Cobra trooper or whatever is like strung up, my first thought was Snake Eyes. And I was like, oh, Tim, why, And then you like surprised me, And sorry, this is spoilers for a playmotion that is like maybe almost 48 hours old now, or 72 hours old now. But like, I was just so pleased with that. Like once that happened, I was just really on board. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Also, I love how it's shot, and I also like to do this with my figures as well. I got some cool shots of the Ninja Force, or when I say cool shots, I had some fun taking shots of my Ninja Force in similar situations. So when I saw that, I instantly related.
Yeah, well, Asher, tell a little bit about filming that sequence because we had the idea and the drop at the end that we wanted that to be a little comedic, so we wanted to settle on that shadow for just a second. And then drop it because we thought it was funny, but there was a little more that went into how we did that. And I was trying to explain it to him with my direct review, like what I wanted. And I'm a big fan of long takes with uncut. There's hidden cuts in there. I don't care. I think it's the funnest little gimmick in film. But where you start with this one with a POV shot, well, I guess over the shoulder shot. And then it rolls around, hiding the Jeep, and then reveals the Joe, and then like, oh, and then it's an ambush, takes him out. And then this is Asher filming. So how did that go?
So, well, it was our director of photography in the credits, Lance, and he was holding the helicopter, and I just kind of linked arms with him as we walked. And when I dismounted. I zoomed in.
So he was like that, and he's like one's holding the toy and one's holding the phone, and that way it stayed turned.
That's awesome.
But
Mad lads.
when I got the shot of Mirage shooting
Transformers combine a team, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, like have to become a gestalt to get the shot and manipulate the toy.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it. And my friend Lance was like, because we're like he's trying to follow the trail because I wanted to have it the reveal or the guy, the reveal, the shot, the crash, and then the
There's a
Jeep
lot to
pull
cram in
around.
there.
And I was like, I wanted that long, cool, smooth take in it. And we only did a few takes and it worked out. But that was Lance's idea to lock arms so that it was kind of a shaky cam, but it spun around. But that was the second take. Talking about the first take.
We didn't give like too much direction. We just told him how the scene was supposed to go. So after the helicopter gets shot down, I run over and I link arms with him, and he just spins like 3 times in a row with the helicopter. So there's one take we have that's him just like 3 times. It's ridiculous.
It just goes
and he gets out of breath.
And you getting ragdolled beside him, like
Kind of,
how is this
he
working?
just threw me off.
Whipping you around.
To the rock that we were.
And he didn't have the vision to follow around smoothly around to reveal the Jeep, so he just kind of crashed. And then Asher's like stepping over the toys with his brake it.
Yeah, I was like trying to find the car and the viewfinder of the camera.
It was funny, but I was really excited about that shot. It came out really well. But and then
I'm a big fan of longer shots.
What's that?
Yes, you can get a lot more done instead of like having to frame up each one just to string it all together. Very economical. But what I want to know is, during all this mayhem, did you get any strange glances from neighbors?
There was a family that was like in their car.
When we decked out the lawn and hisses, some truck pulled over. There was people were pulling over. We're in this side street, kind of in a dead end spot of our neighborhood. But yeah, people started pulling over and they were like, what are they? Because we're walking around with cameras. But like when they saw all those
hi. What are you all doing?
Yeah, they were.
What are you doing? There in the grass.
Yeah, they were up and they just sat there and just watched us for about 5-10 minutes of us shooting, doing those rolling around in circles around the tanks. But yeah, that was the most attention getting was that. Other than my actual neighbors.
One of them was mustering up the courage to ask who your dealer was.
Yeah. No, when we were doing the helicopter shot, there was also like a family that did like a jump, and like they're like their little son was like, I like your toys or something.
We're like, thanks. They're props right now, and they belong to the studio. You can shove off. Like Steve had that attention. I think was your.
What, you think these are toys?
Yeah. Was it your bug review? You were filming on the beach, and some kid came up or something. I don't remember. But
you're always popular with small children and dogs.
Yeah,
they always want to have a sniff. 40-year-old plastic. Who knew? It'd be like.
Okay, can we kind of go through the chronology? We just want to talk about us because we just want to kind of talk about how it was done because we're just so proud of it, and this is kind of our comment.
So it's time to shine, baby.
Comment. But yeah, so the opening shot was supposed to be a trick, not a trick. That was my little Easter egg, I guess, for the hit and run. The helicopter.
Oh yes.
That was just the establishing shot, and it took me a long time to explain to Asher what I wanted for an establishing shot.
We didn't get
what
a good
an establishing shot was, but it's fine.
I knew what it was.
But after
so hit and run's introduction then.
Yeah,
is what you're after. Okay,
yeah.
Let's see where we are at.
Before that.
Is it before?
Before that. Yeah.
I love that moment though when the dude falls off the tree and you guys complete that shot.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, it was before this one. Him coming out of the bush is what I'm talking about.
Reverse Homer Simpson. Yes.
So this was Silas with wearing some hospital gloves that I have, reaching into the bush with the kitchen skewer to push him out slightly.
Oh no ways!
And you do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had to put in the pain, but that shot, what I wanted to happen was for people to watch him come out and then be like, wait, was he there in the shot right before when the helicopter shadow comes up? And yes, he was. And I don't think anyone would ever notice it unless it was pointed out, because I wanted to showcase how awesome the camo is on that figure, attesting to Steve not having his anymore.
There was like 3 times you showed people that shot, and you were like, tell me how many figures you saw.
Yeah, that's what I did. Let them see it. I say, how many figures are in that zip frame? Like, 2.
I see him now.
Well, now that we know.
Yeah. And the other thing about it is criticized Hit and Run for the orange goggles because I was like, it's such a stupid color to have on that figure. Till I learned more about what you guys talked about it in one of your reviews about what it actually is for. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But it works in the foliage. It worked. I was very impressed that you never would see him there. And then, but him like leaking out, so awesome.
It's nice to have a color break, though. Like, even if it served zero purpose, just having like a different pop of color on an otherwise completely green and black figure.
Yeah, I totally
a
agree.
bit of visual intrigue. That's the term that Paul used once, and I've sunk my claws into it ever since.
Yeah,
love that term. Visual intrigue.
So I wanted to lure people in with a shadow over the Cobra Troopers. They weren't even paying attention to the background and miss him completely, and that was the point. It worked out.
Sneaky. I love it.
Then
you also sent me some, was it blooper footage, or do you want to save that for the end, Tim?
Well, yeah, we'll just cut through this real fast. We're not gonna. I don't want.
Sure, man. Yeah. Give us
that.
all your stories.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just on what the idea was, kind of what the vision was. But that was the first one on that one. Then we talked about the tree shot, and then after that, then your script was like, okay, everyone move in, and so that's when Hit and Run went into action. That's when the Jeep pulled out and everything. Because that was when we were writing the script. Well, we did write a script. As we were filming randomly on the lawn, we're like, well, this is how Hit and Run's going to get there. And the Jeep's going to get here this way. And Barrel Roll's going to come in this way. But in what order, how that works together, we had no idea until Steve had to write that part.
Yeah, you were kind of just like, I think this shot will look cool. And it just had like 12 of those shots.
It's like George Lucas filming Star Wars. And then the editors and all the people criticizing what crap he was doing, they had to fix it and make Star Wars. And that's the argument is George Lucas shot Star Wars, but did he actually, was he responsible?
Yeah.
I
Star Wars
shot.
was made in the editing bay. Hot take.
Well, let me just put it out there to anyone waiting in the wings. If you want to go out there, get your hands dirty and produce the raw footage and then kick it over to me, by all means, saves me from getting out there in 104 degrees heat. Thanks a lot. I don't want to risk my Hit and Run's thumbs. Thank you very much. They're firm enough.
Yep. I just ordered another one because we have a new idea for our next video. So I just ordered an
Oh,
extra.
good.
Yeah.
What?
Awesome.
You mean you're not burnt out? Amazing,
Well,
Tim.
next summer, I don't know. We'll see. Ash was
Playmotion's like spicy food, man.
yeah.
It burns the crap out of you, but you want more.
The next one, as soon as we wrapped, I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, anyway, so back to the video. So let's see the Hit and Run and then the tree, the Jeep. Oh, the Jeep shot, by the way, that when it backs up into the tree and it comes in that awesome focus. That was Lance's idea. That was actually reverse footage. So we started, wasn't it?
No,
it started in. Oh, he had us focus it,
no,
then pull it back.
Reversed. That was not reversed.
It was, but
Listen,
it was.
I sat in Adobe with that footage for about 12 hours.
But it was
not reversed.
the focus was with it in frame, and then he pulled it back, and then we pulled it in, something like that. But it was.
No, you did a few takes
part.
just driving it in.
Yeah, that was a cool shot though. Like Zach, Steve, you got the video.
You don't even remember our video.
Yeah.
You
name them and I'll play them.
The Spy Troop. So this bad boy, when we watched it this morning, my buddy Lance was like, who doesn't care about GI Joe at all. He was great. It was gracious for him to even assist. But he's like, what do those need to open for it to drop the pile? I was like, no. He's like, well then why did you do it? I'm like, because it can. There's no other reason. It's just you got to feature the cool.
No one else is gonna feature the Sky Sweeper jet. I mean, honestly, this thing.
It's a cool little
something
plane.
else. Like it's a cool little plane. It's a chibi little F119 Nighthawk.
117.
Yeah, 117. Thank you.
I didn't want to do
No
a
worries.
Is it a Nighthawk? Yeah, the bomber.
Yeah,
stealth bomber.
I love this thing, man.
Yeah.
I still.
Good.
I don't think I'd ever go back and buy myself one of these now, but I kind of regret not getting one in the beginning of my GI Joe collecting because they were like, I think they were $15 to $20 each. It was super easy to find. They were everywhere, and I would have had a little bit of fun with it then. But now I just can't bring myself to go back and get one.
Yeah.
But it does have some prop quality to it, the drop pod and all that. So
it's fun. And the Spy Troops had some fun stuff, and I know you've been debating on that. But it's it's pretty cool. There's some valuable stuff in there, some praiseworthy achievements in it, but and a lot of crap in the Spy Troops era. It was a lot of terrible stuff, but so then he comes in. So then came the part where
really even stuck into the latest issue of GI Joe, but anyway, we won't go there.
Then when they all converge on the door, and this is where it was like, okay, I'm gonna need Steve to narrate this visually, because we had Hit and Run coming down off the roof, and then we have Barrel Roll as the distraction, who's going to be the Trojan horse. Oh, I forgot about the Jeep. Yeah, we couldn't get a good shot between me driving the Jeep and my son Silas driving the tank, and then Asher running behind filming the speeds and everything, keeping frame. I was like, whatever, we did it. But yeah. That guy shot down was awesome.
The turret guy, like,
yeah, I do want to point out, I do have a vintage Crimson or the Viper or Driver. I could not find him. I looked everywhere, and I have because I bought so many tanks over the years. I have so many modern era. I was like, I don't want to use a Driver, but that's all I could find. I was just getting so frustrated. Right after we wrapped, I found him, and so I was like, but yeah. But this whole thing, the shootout was, I wanted to spray. I didn't know the dialogue, what Barrel Roll's little con was going to be for the distraction. Hit and Run going or jumping down was going to be cool, drawing their attention. And about Barrel Roll, we got to say, we never thought that his name was a pun, that he actually does barrel rolls. But after we happened to do like 2 or 3 of them, we're like, forget it. We're going all in. He does barrel rolls.
That's his thing.
Do a barrel roll. Fox, do a barrel roll.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep thinking of Fluff Fox every time.
Yeah. So he dives over the pod, and then he starts shooting out. And that was the tricky part. Was I was like, I don't know which guy he hits out, because then we had the Vipers turning around and getting shot down different directions, and there's a continuity issue there, because in your cut he shoots both of them, all 3 of them actually, but one of them is a shot going the other direction by Hit and Run, and so Magic Bullet. There was a second gunner on the Endor bunker. I don't but yeah, it came out awesome. I couldn't wait to see how you did that part, but that was really cool. And what was lost, the overhead shot of Barrel Roll walking towards the bunker. It was supposed to be this shot of you see the dead bodies and then pieces of his armor being dropped as he's walking to the bunker, now stripped of the disguise, but it's all blurry. You couldn't really see it very well, but that's all right. That was still fun. And then
what I'm discovering through this process of, like, you know, being a rather amateurish editor myself is trust your audience to, like, fill in the blanks. Like, not everything needs to be shown.
Yeah.
So these sort of
Steve, knowing that already elevates you from being an amateur editor. You'd be surprised how many people.
If you want to be less than an amateur airplane enthusiast, Buttface69's got your back.
Thank you.
If you want to impress military pilots, he says, from the 90s and noughties, call the F-117 the stink bug. It was the unofficial nickname. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be in a situation where I'm likely to want to impress, like, aviators. I just see myself, like, sidling up to, like, the Top Gun bar, like, hey, you know, that F-117, the stink bug.
It's a cool detail you can use.
Wait, I can't hear you. Musical interlude's about to start.
That's why
Top Gun's a movie.
I want to see some butts. I want to see some butts.
I needed you guys, because I said from the beginning, I was like, I don't know military. I'm a Navy brat, but I wasn't that invested. My mom retired when I was 11, but I never got into all that stuff. And I was like, I can't write the script. I don't know the jargon and the lingo and the stuff. I can have it in my mind, like the kind of stuff they would say in the situation, but not the actual verbiage. So that was the big relief from Steve.
Everything I know was taught to me by Larry Harmer, and I don't know if I should make that public anymore. It feels like that stuff's going off the rails very quickly. But hey, whatever. These are toys, right? Holding them up to real world scrutiny is probably going to just dampen your enjoyment of them.
I also think there's some magic. I also think there's a little bit of magic when you got somebody screaming at your YouTube video because you used some military slang or jargon or whatever.
Incorrect nomenclature.
Yeah.
And while they're busy ranting about it, you're still getting playtime on new YouTube videos. So it's and then it sticks with them. And then they're like,
that thing is bad press.
yeah, and then they comment. Yeah. But not that we ever do that stuff on purpose, because honestly, we could not give a shit.
Yeah. Well, Steve, can you show
if we make mistakes, we've made them by mistake. Yeah.
Gladly.
Favorite shot.
So the indoor bunker makes an appearance. Love that.
And by the way,
yes, cool set.
When I moved into my apartment, did you like Scoop in the background filming the dead bodies?
That was really good. I love that.
Very on brand for Rob.
Gotta have it all.
Rob, he was cast just for you. I want you to know that.
Hell yeah.
Yay.
That makes me very happy.
So if you back up, Steve, the door opening moment, so I'm in the subterranean level apartment. So the ground level is like to my chest outside. And there's an apartment above us. And there was like sunset again. We had like one more day that were trying to throw us together. And I was like, I want to film the door opening scene. So I had a board and I had everything puttied down into place. And it was like sunset. There was that perfect moment, like Michael Bay filming it, that I was like, we have to capture this shot like right now. And Lance was in here watching freaking the Cobra Kai or whatever he was watching. I was like, Lance, I need you right now, because I needed him to hold something over it, to cover a canopy over it.
Drop everything and pick up your Jones, man.
Like, I'm coming. I'm like, no, right this second, I'm losing the sunset right now. And so we went out there and it was like not quite right. Yeah, and I was like, crap. So we had to go up to the tier above us. And then we were able to get just that little bit of elevation. Like we had time for like 2 shots of the door opening with the little skewers, and we had to position them exactly how they were outside, so it's actually in continuity. And that was my favorite shot about it, and I love that was the thumbnail. If I had watched it when you sent me the raw cut, and I wouldn't watch it. That's the only thing I would have said, is because that shot actually held for a second, and I was like, I love that shot so much. I wanted to let it linger to show it off because it was so cool. So but yeah, it's awesome. And that's the shot.
Ended up being the thumbnail.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the one where Lance is like, is that a guy? Like, who's that? Because it looks pretty real, like a wax figure.
I don't know if you guys know Plastic Battles, Paul Panfalone, but Barrel Roll in that shot looks just like Paul.
It does look like Paul Panfalone.
He's got a real tight hairstyle. He's, dark features. Yeah. Gives me Paul Panfalone vibes. So Plastic Battles, if you're listening to this pod, bro, you better pick up a barrel roll if you don't have one already. I'm sure you got a few, actually.
Yeah.
Your new avatar.
We'll just get faster. So then they get inside, and then not really anything to talk about. We have a screenshot or just a still photo of the set that we can talk about when we get through. But
I'm sure I can find that.
Bunker is pretty detailed, which was a good and a bad thing. It was a pain to work with, but so then that was the whole idea, was like we wanted to have this mind frame timeline of him doing the recording, and then the GI Joe infiltration, and then them it would be a surprise that they didn't spring in at the same time, that they actually sprang in later after the battle with the creature. So that was supposed to be like the twist. So that was the vision. So they come in, and then we do the found footage thing, which worked out pretty well. So yeah, we had to. Where's my camp? We had to get a red light blanket. Oh, it's right there.
That's the exact blanket.
And put this light and tie it and dangle.
Oh, she used a blanket. Oh, that's wild.
So we had a lamp dangling over the set that we tied with shoelace, and we had this red light, and we would like just we'd hit
so we'd have to swing it when we start action, so we had to keep it going, and then. Yeah,
that's so cool.
It had to be plugged in the whole time. It was such a hassle.
So that's something I love about playmotion. Sorry, Tim, and I know I cut you off there, but that's something about playmotion that kind of makes it addictive, or addicting, and fun. Is that you kind of do it, and then you think about ways you could have done things better, and then you save those ideas for your next one, and that's kind of what makes you hungry to do your next one, because you're like, ooh, I know how I'm going to make this better. Can I pull it off, kind of thing? Ooh, Steven's got a rich gel.
Steve is showing off.
Anyway, Tim, I derailed you there, man.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, because that light came with some filters, but I thought I had a red one, but I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was like, dang it.
Steven,
So-
a blanket is cheaper. A blanket is cheaper.
Yeah, it
Stop
was-
Was the red filter with your red his tank driver? It's like, oh, I
Yes,
knew I had
yeah,
this.
I found him together. Yeah, he was hiding under it. Anyway, so that the light was fun to do, and you gotta say, Steve, the sound, the alarm, and that especially when the door breaks when they first turn on the found footage, like was awesome. So anyway, that's the set. So you have the bunker, and we had to do that just for kind of placement and keep the continuity. You had the guys with some, let's see, cardboard. Those are some they were dragon those crates on the left side were those little dragons that were like mega blocks or something. I can't remember. Then everyone will recognize the skeleton from the Rise of Pentor Rise toys, and then the is that the I can't remember the BET or the Weather Dominator. That whole
A
run.
mass device.
That's right. Now, see, I'm gonna lose my GI Joburg card by the end of this episode.
Don't worry, buddy. We got you back.
Nice. The Serpentor stuff was supposed to be just kind of an Easter egg, and I didn't know if that was going to be in the narrative or not. That we're doing some kind of a resurrection kind of a thing, but it was right there, and I wanted to show that
I
off.
figured they wanted to ultimately dress Hawk up in that stuff.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they never got the opportunity to, but they've got all this sort of Cobra regalia, and the idea is that they are going to be able to take GI Joe's leader, the top of the flagpole, and turn him into a dyed in the wool Cobra agent. Like, why not dress him up?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's kind of where that was going, or what I assumed the direction you were going to take it in.
I didn't know
if there is a part 2.
Show the plot till this morning.
Yeah. But then revealing as a setup the helmet and the sword, which was going to be played later.
There's a shot that was used.
Yeah, there's a shot that showed the helmet and then expanded out to show the Serpentor stuff on the Batcave workbench, obviously, where if you pay close attention to that stuff.
Put that in the drive that you sent me.
Yeah.
That shot is in there.
Oh, yeah. That
It's
one.
like unused number 4 or something.
We have some Enterprise bridge, which are
I know. I recognize those.
Those were so cool. I never got the whole bridge, but I got enough to do some cool deck outs.
I don't think that toy line lasted long enough for them to create the entire bridge. I think that they were missing elements. Either
Really?
that or I just collected them really scattershot. I thought I'd picked up all of them, and it still didn't make a complete bridge.
Well, the nice part about them is they're interchangeable, so you can put 2 desks next to each other that don't actually go together. And then you have
They don't have the nice curve. I don't know. There are probably like 2 people in the audience of this podcast that know exactly what we're talking about here, Tim. But I collected all of what I assumed was all of that bridge, and it didn't make a very satisfying.
Yeah. Then you have the Darth Vader, whatever that is, table.
No.
That moment, and then more Batcave stuff, and then that on the right is a Weapon X toy with the breakable glass, the tank. That's freaking awesome.
Gotcha. What scale was that for?
It came with it's about the right scale.
Oh, the movie toys then.
No, well, it was this guy. I'm pretty sure it was pretty sure. This guy goes, so he's supposed to go in there, and there's a lever that you turn on it, and
That's great. He is basically 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah, because he's short anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty close, and so I've hung on to that for a long time to use. But it has one side that is breakable, where 2 pieces pop out, and you're supposed to be able to turn a thing on the side that pivots the character inside, so he can slash out of the glass. And so but the top part comes off, so when we showed it from the pan through the room in the dark, so you couldn't see what was in there, the solid face was pointed in, but then when we were going to break the glass, then we turned it around, and then he had
it was movie magic.
Yeah.
Well, all the greeblies worked. The sort of the darkness of it worked. Pete Moline jumped in the chats and has some lovely praise for you guys. The set looked great on screen. I totally believed it. It was Mindbender's lab. When the boys went in and it was dark and I felt the doom lurking just out of reach, well done. So, bravo, guys.
Yeah.
Clearly, well, just grabbing bits of set elements and chucking it all together, it worked, man. It sold.
Yeah. It was cool.
Also, I want to share this screenshot as well of the lab. I kind of, flashed it out earlier, but I love this very much. This the shot that you guys have where it's all dark and you see everybody's like dead and you got the sort of plinth area.
Yeah.
What I love about this is that it feels so much bigger than it actually is. And that's magic. That's really great. And I also love how you got the red kind of hitting the bit of the gangway here. This was a magical shot. That's why I took a screenshot of it to talk about it in the episode.
Yeah.
I kept insisting during those shots of like when they first enter and the doors open. I kept insisting that we have the light blaring just so it can reflect off the ground.
And there was a line I had where as they were like barrel roll, get the door because they didn't want to get lost or someone escape or whatever, so they need to be sealed inside. But the alarm it sealed itself with what you did in the editing. But that was the thing. We wanted to have the reverse shot of them in the same formation moving in with the light behind them, which I have a really powerful flashlight I use for my job that blared in, but it bled out the red. But then we closed the door. Then it was just that.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. When the door shuts and it gets dark, there's a cut, and I tweak the color settings between the two. So I dim it when the flashlight's going in, and then I brighten it in the next shot so that you can see the red. And then
that's really cool.
And that flashlight for a barrel roll is turning around, looking around with with this awesome gun. And I love the dialogue we went for that part when he's looking around, and then Paul's awesome. The assholeness of barrel roll. It was great. It was really great. And all the carnage and everything ensues, and I was just like, I wanted to give Scoop. I said from the beginning, we didn't know how the choreography went. As we'll say, I'm like, okay, he throws him here. Now, how do we get these guys out of how do we get him to fight over here? Now he's over here. And the lost footage part, the cameraman, the Cobra camera guy, with the camera from the GI Joe the movie camera piece. I wanted that to all the lost footage to tie together somehow, where you could see him filming what he saw during the commotion. And there's a little bit of shaky cam, the guy running and bumping into him, running for the door, like all that stuff works so perfect. Yeah. And there was a whole other half of it on the other side of the room where people were thrown into crates and everything. That it's fine that it got cropped out because it didn't narratively work with the cuts. But so that was 2 shots. Asher had to line up that
this
shot.
Was like 15 shots in one already. Like 4 cuts.
Yeah.
That's a cut.
So I was like, he's going to look here, and then he's going to look here.
Every pan is a cut.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the motion. You don't feel it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a cut.
Yeah, and you're just like, and there's a shot of him fighting Scalpel. They did, this shot right here, the close-up of the guy getting grabbed, was our first light test.
This was just us testing the light, and we just threw it in there.
I was like, that was awesome, and I was like, I insisted on leaving it in there. It just didn't make sense. Okay, pause it real quick, Steve.
Oh, pause. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. That shot of him punching the camera was a very, very, very loose Easter egg of the movie of that camera being punched by the Crimson Trooper.
Oh, yes. In the opening sequence.
I tried so hard to have him falling down with his legs bent the right way, landing down, winding up, and punching. It's just so abstract. You never would figure that out. But that's what I was going for. And that would be the end of the footage. That was the idea.
That's some attention to detail, man. Yeah, I see it now. We all know Crimson Guardsmen hate that picture being taken.
Yeah. So there was that, and then the battle. But I want to give Scoop the big heroic moment, and then
I love that. It's so unexpected. Like again, he suddenly has a sword, and he's like, "Maybe I'll use one of these in the future."
Yeah,
it's my
favorite.
favorite thing.
Line. Yeah, so we're gonna remember that. Yeah, but where he gets thrown over, the monster throws him over, and then he's like, "I need to help." And he sees the guy, he's like, "Wait a minute." That plays out. There's a third barrel roll there. I was like, It was like Scoop doesn't get in this one-on-one, hand-to-hand action like that, but for him to step up, it was freaking fun. But I wanted to give him the big moment.
One of my favorite scenes is about to play out now on the screen. For the listeners, please check out this part of the podcast or check out the actual play motion. But where is Hulk?
Yeah, I really like
it. Kills me, man. It kills me.
Yeah.
So No, go ahead, Paul.
That's the absurdity I want in my play motions. You know, that's what makes me pay the price of admission, man. Anyway, sorry, Tim, carry on.
No, you're fine. Cutting off the hand, that was a perfect drop. It only took like 3 times to get it to land right there in frame. Perfect shot. The what do they call the secret movie title they were doing? I thought, and I said it to Steve. I was gonna call it Red Hawk Down.
It was a strong contender, let me tell you.
Because all the crimson, the carnage, the blood, and Hawk is down, and I thought it was really funny. But yeah, the reveal of the sword, and I was like, here we go. This part where he drops in, that just worked really well. Yeah, pulled out.
Gets released.
And then the turn and the Obi-Wan stance right here.
I love this shot.
Another roll. Yeah.
He does do a whole bunch of it.
That was the other thing I was frustrated with. Like, hey, they shot this thing. He got shot by all these Vipers. What's going to finally take him down? Just this sword. But it was your doing, Steve, in the editing to have Scoop just going nuts.
That was our favorite.
Unhinged. Well, that was Rob in the voice booth.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, well, because we
Well,
got
Friday the 13th 5, no? Friday the 13th 4 in that moment. Die!
Yeah.
It's gonna be one take of him stabbing, but we just got multiple takes, and I just left all of them in for you to pick which one.
Thank
You
you.
just left all of them in.
That's where the footage was. That's where it was really loose. I was like, Steve, I don't know how to put this together.
Yeah.
And you put the scalpel fight mixed with the zombie fight, and it was so smooth. It was
I
great.
loved it.
Then Hawk.
Well,
and then
applause all around. Well done, boys. What
then
fun.
the escape. That night attack chopper. Someone asked about that in the comments. Yes, it's a GI Joe vehicle, very underused.
Appreciate it.
I couldn't find a turret. I couldn't find this turret. I love this freaking thing, and I know Steve doesn't have one, right? So I understood. You've praised it before, but
I have the desert attack version.
Oh, okay.
But
This version
I'm
looks
quite
way
fond
better.
of taking. Oh yes, I'm quite fond of taking the nose gun off for the simple reason that like it's a little too much, too overkill. But the missile pods are amazing. The fact that this thing like has this like cool spring fire.
You're talking about these, Steve?
Yeah, I take those off as well. The sort of side guns and the central gun, I leave it quite clean because it does seem to have like sculpted guns in the nose.
Yeah.
Which look a little bit more like accurately scaled, to be honest. Like a gunship would not have this massive like pillar sticking
but
out.
It's still great fun though.
I don't mind the front. I couldn't find it, so we had to put the side ones on there, and I didn't love it, but that's okay.
I always feel like with this vehicle, the amount of weapons and stuff loaded on it, on top of the fact that it has got like pretty good sculpted details, such a corporate upstairs decision. It needs this helo needs a bigger boner. The kids are not gonna like it if it doesn't have a hard on.
Yeah.
You gotta slap one on. Just put some side guns there just because kids love guns.
I haven't really thought about this until now, but like they seem to dial it back in terms of the naming convention of this helicopter because Night Attack helicopter is pretty like banal. There's no juice in that. But I think the prototype name for it was the Wildfire helicopter that they dropped.
That would have been better.
Check out Devil's Dues. Was it Reborn, Rebirth? I don't know. The first 4 issues, they name drop it as the Wildfire. So clearly, it was a working title or working name for the thing at some point. Do you notice that it has sculpted missiles on the wing, like the wing pylons?
On the wing? Oh, right here.
Flip them out, like sort of in its armpits, in the helicopter's armpits.
Here,
it's got sculpted missiles that aren't doing anything. They're glued in there. What the hell?
No,
they don't. They're not designed to. You could rip them off, I assume.
We were gonna have at the end of it hit and run hanging off of this thing, but we couldn't get it to work, and it just kept falling off. Yeah, Asher did some screen or some
like on-set photography.
Yeah, just some shots of it for fun. But we wanted to load them in. It was so dark, or you couldn't see inside Lifeline or getting out to go help, and then I couldn't pile them in, so there just had to be a clown car at the end, and just You didn't need to see that anywhere.
Question from Yo Joe: what year is that copter? I think you'll find it 2002.
Yeah, that I had to send it to someone else that asked about it. It's
Release
awesome. It's really awesome. And then the big reveal of the tanks was I was like so excited. I was like, you know what we're gonna do? And I just decked. This wasn't in the plan. I just decked out the lawn. I have a big Tupperware.
He didn't tell me he was doing that either. I was like distracted doing something, and I turn over and there's like 12 tanks on the lawn.
We wanted to get some.
Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So we had to figure out how to make it seem like they were moving and show the force. And so we tried to do that with some camera, like this camera shot here was supposed to kind of imply the motion going forward without having to try to actually maneuver 20 freaking tanks. And then Megatron being there in the lead. And then my fake dialogue of nice shot. Megatron. But the thing getting bombarded worked really well because we didn't really know what was going to happen. Lady J to the rescue. She would have been on the team by the way. My black.
The shot of the wildfire absolutely laying on the carnage on this Cobra column is my favorite because it's a 1E. It's got that speed blur. Clearly, it's being manipulated. It is completely wild and feels very like combat journo filming style. Like there's nothing clean, clinical, locked off about it.
We were linked arms.
And one of the shots
raw. It's
another linked arm shot.
I gotta tell you though, trying to film that, keeping these things pumped, hurt like hell. Trying to keep that thing like it's tired.
You need those forearm. What are those grip? Those vices.
Yeah.
So
this scene gets heavy to do it.
Yeah, well, but it paid off, Tim, because this scene where they're doing the exfil is amazing, and I love the drama that comes from you feel those the rotors. It's difficult to explain. It's just it all comes together really well, and it creates a lot of like drama. And I even the fact that it's kind of bluish in the way, because of the shadows.
Paul, you've teed me up so nicely, mate. I'm just going to jump in and speak for Wilde Productions at that point and just say, guys, we're losing the light. We have to get this in one go. Get ready.
The invisible hand.
That's what it was. Why. And I was like, narratively, it works because it's been a long day for the Joes too. Yeah. Well, let's if we can, and then see. I didn't know how it was going to end. Was it going to end with the Viper jumping out, or Cobra Commander, or we didn't know. So it was just kind of cool to see the long shot of the aftermath. But yeah, if we just pull up some of those other little things we sent you, Steve, we'll just kind of run through those and get out of your hair.
Okay.
Move on. The bunker does move with my arm because at that point I did not care.
The thing following, I just had to move.
I was like, forget it. Yeah.
All the Cobra artillery had rocked the foundations at that point.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
And it's one of the most powerful scenes in the whole thing. Even this angle here, where it just feels so gloomy. I love it.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
It's called Sunset, Paul.
I know, dude, but
since you never see the sun.
Yeah.
I do see the sun.
Scalpel still kicking in.
That's great. Right. The fact that you have Scalpel, like he's got a sickle in his back, but he's like,
get
it out, get it out, get it out.
Yeah. Scalpel might be back. I don't know.
No, Mindbender's going for a vial at that point. Which is interesting because that's exactly where he put his microphone. But hey,
no, that
movie
was
magic.
It wasn't a microphone. That was the vial that with the toxin. Like he had like the sample. It's like the shredder in Ninja Turtles 2. He's like, I saw.
He was carrying it the whole time.
Yeah. So he had the sample so that the venom could still move on because that whole workstation got trashed. But I thought was that he had the pure dosage. And I thought about having that being what's being delivered was that dosage, or him grabbing the laptop with that vial and running off. Thanks.
Whatever was going down with Hawk has been administered. So the Joe's transporting a ticking time bomb back to their HQ.
I'll find out in post-production when we send it over to you.
We'll find out in part 2 when it's ready, Asher. Come on, bro. Get to work.
I just want to know why Hawk didn't do this to
Fly kick.
GI Joe right there. That Hawk was the first when I first started buying when I was in the 90s. I bought that and I was like, I'm gonna start buying GI Joe. That was my first one I owned. But
that Hawk is great.
Yeah,
he's the boss.
Yeah.
Once you figure out how to get that backpack off.
Yes.
Did you get creative with a screwdriver back then, Tim, or was this like a discovery later on? Okay,
no,
good.
He had it off very quickly. Those things were stupid.
Joe wants to know if you have Venomous Maximus.
Do you have them? I bought Valor and Venom and Spy Troops. I was buying all that crap because I started collecting in 2000 with whatever they were coming out with. I was sold, and then I learned later how bad a lot of those toys really were. But I was in, and that even into modern era and the terrible movie figures. I know Paul has a bunch of those. You guys have teased him about that, but you got to keep the brand alive. Figures, those dark ages. We'll have a renaissance, and I think that's what we're seeing now.
It's coming.
Tim, as long as you enjoyed them when you bought them, because you wouldn't have bought more if you weren't liking them, right?
I'm not going to say
it's not like you went like, this is my sacred duty. It is now my time to collect. I shall buy them all. You know, you're like, no, these are pretty cool. And that's it. The power to you. I looked at them and I was like, I shall wait. And I did.
Geeky knowledge time, though, boys. Of the people in attendance, us 5, who actually knows the connection between Hawk and Venomous Maximus? Anybody?
From Valor and Venom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well then, Tim, take it away. It's curious to me. I mean, it's fun to know that not every GI Joe fan is on the same page as that. Like, you will surprise some people if you take it in that direction.
Oh yeah. It's and that takes
these two criminals is what I'm talking about. Oh, these 3, in fact. Yeah. Well,
you mean these
pointing in the wrong direction.
No, Ash has got skin in the game as well.
Yeah, 3 criminals.
Because when someone mentioned in the comments Venomous Maximus, I was like, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it's been done. Sergeant Slaughter is a super soldier for the Arise Serpentor Arise. Like all these ideas have all been thrown around before. So, and then a lot of people in Demons did very similar things, and so I was like, this is just a celebration of a lot of us having a lot of the same cool ideas. So, and they all look brilliant in different ways. So it's not a competition, but yeah, it's a good thought. And it's another one definitely no one's ever played with is Venomous Maximus, but I do have him. So we'll see.
There was one going for no one wants to buy that figure, right? So it's a $5 figure all day if it's not an absolute giveaway. And I balked at it. I didn't buy one. I was like, what am I going to do with it? Well,
I think I have 2. I think you had a version 2 with different colors, if I remember right. But
you've got the translucent green one.
I don't remember being translucent. Maybe I don't. I don't know.
The venomization chamber. Annoyingly, this seller, like so many sellers, they wanted to break up the chamber from the figure, like sell them separately. Come on, do I have to?
How it shipped originally.
Yeah, I never saw it. that. I wanted it badly, but yeah. Jeez. Well, let's look at a couple of those things and move on, because there's some. Asher was so excited to pull some things that fans didn't get to see and kind of get some ideas. And I want to show the set in good lighting so you guys can see. We were proud of it. It was a good little collection of some stuff.
Yeah, you brought us here after school one day and you had it set up on the counter in the kitchen. Yeah. But like Asher, we're doing this.
Yeah.
You have the
Originally, it was gonna be filmed.
Yeah, like don't even stop. Cobra Kai, just do the thing.
Stop watching that great 80s show.
Hey, what? What is that?
Stop watching that awesome 80s show and play with these awesome 80s toys.
I thought I heard you say something bad.
I needed Lance's help for those couple of nights, and Lance refused to help until we watched an episode of Cobra Kai this new season. And I do reviews on my YouTube channel about Cobra Kai. I've said all I want to say because I think it's jump the shark. I'm done with it. So more interested in this for sure. Oh, this kind of is the tone of how filming this whole thing was. Can you do the audio?
Oh yeah.
So this is exactly what this whole experience was.
Yeah, we had Lance on.
1, 2, 3. Oh. Okay.
That's a pretty top.
Again.
Okay.
It was Bruce the Shark for sure.
Just when everything's framed up, all the figures are behaving, something just goes
It was
clunk.
hilarious because we had Lance on the light switch and we just told him to flick it on 3.
And he didn't know what we were doing.
And so you see the light switch flicker for a second.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and he pulls it out.
Like that thing is so hard to hold up there, and he couldn't punch through. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And then it just gently set in there, and just falls and knocks the guy over with those.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it was like.
flies backwards.
Yeah. So what else you got?
Oh, gee. Well, do you want me to go through all of them? Timmy?
Let's do a couple more. We'll see.
Just do a smorgasbord. Well, you've kindly named them for me, so if there's one that you particularly want.
I named them.
Top to bottom, Steven. Top to bottom.
Unused his tank reveal.
Oh, so we just had a couple more shots of the reveal of the
Nice shot. Like.
Oh, you can mute him. We don't need to hear my. Yeah. Yeah, but we just had a couple ideas, and I was trying to explain to him what I wanted, and so I just grabbed the camera and started just running and just did it over and over and over. But I just wanted to show off my fleet, because how often do you get to do that?
How many his tanks are we talking about here? A dozen?
I think so. I have like 3 of the ones that have the red stickers that came out, I think, modern era. I bought because I was trying to build an armada, and then I couldn't find any more. And then when we got the new ones, I sent Rob one of them that I left in the box, and apparently he left it in the box. But I'm not complaining. I'll
take it out.
No,
come out eventually. I promise.
Awesome. So I kept buying those, and I was very upset about scalping.
Reveal the hill. Reveal the hill.
Sorry.
Oh, that's sorry. Yeah. I stopped buying classified because of the scalping situation, and so every time I saw a couple of hisses with the new ones, I bought one and left one every single time. But I was just buying them every time I saw them because they were awesome.
So that's how you came up with your fleet. You're like, buy one, leave one. Buy one, leave one.
Exactly, because they were pretty cheap and they're freaking awesome. As Steve did his review on it, they're a pretty cool little thing, and I never had them as a kid, so. And I do have like a box of 10, or not 10, like 5 unopened, I think, still. For someday I will be a bootlegger or a scalper. Yeah, I don't know. One more maybe? I don't know what else we sent you.
I don't remember.
Oh, but that was the reveal of the Serpentor stuff. That was going to be a setup for the sword and use later. That's what that one was. There's an extended cut of the whole battle in the red light when the the creatures just killing out everyone. That has the whole other half of the room with everything, but it doesn't cut perfectly.
Oh yeah, it's about a minute long. That's awesome.
Yeah. This was did so great on that. That's so cool.
I love it. It's very
blown away.
It's very 80s.
Yeah,
in a good way.
That's my excuse.
And then he had to line that up.
Yeah, I had to replicate the shot of the lights turning off and Mindbender turning.
Throwing him at that thing, making him hit just right, take after take after take. The camera guy looking around, lining those guys up for that shot was cool. Okay. The guy running into the camera, the guy throwing the guy.
There's a cut there.
And then then the guys going for the door. The door was closed, and we had to move everything on that side to show them not able to escape. Scalpel going in with his buzzsaw and gauntlet thing. See, and then this is some of it just doesn't exactly work, and then you just kind of cut to here, and it was perfect. It was fine.
Yeah.
And then I love that shot. I had to keep it no matter what. It was it was comical and awesome. And then this side of the room, he's picking up a guy, chucks him into the other guy, knocks over this steel console that I later had to putty.
Yeah,
nailing that guy. It was just but also seeing Mindbender in the corner was the other element there. You want to see where he was kind of tucking away. that was the other thing that worked really well with the edit, Steve, was the skeleton being where the creature was going to appear after they watched the footage, and then the reveal when the lights came back on. And it worked. I mean, I
ain't taking credit for any of that. Tim,
No,
your boy worked miracles in the background.
He did. And, I'm saying he read my mind, or our mind, in what we were going for. So it was really cool. But the dialogue, you had the dialogue about, oh, this place is creeping me out, which set the tone, like acknowledging the skeleton before they watch the footage, so that when the light comes on, it comes to life. It works with the script. So it's not just the visuals. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, it's the frustrations quickly like vanish from your memory, and it's like the good stuff that remains. And the fact that it's a sort of a lasting memento of that time in your life. The fact that hopefully, I mean, as long as YouTube stays around, we can always revisit these things.
If not, we have lots of footage. We can do that. No, we appreciate your guys' help. Everything was well done. I could tell that what you guys contributed in taking our efforts was done with love. That you guys really cared about it. You understood our excitement, our enthusiasm, and you packaged it in something that made us really proud of it. So really, you guys were amazing, and I know you guys had a lot of experience, and it was just so great to have your talents added into our efforts.
Well, look forward to more productions from the Wilde family. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But just thank you for saying so, man. And
great. We really
thank you for giving us something cool to work with. When I say us, thank you for giving Stephen something cool to work with. But
it would have arrived 2 weeks earlier, but I had a baby. Sorry.
Okay.
I know it's a drunk excuse, but
you've known this baby for what? 2 weeks now? I mean, you've known Tim for a couple of years now.
Like you knew the baby was coming. Don't come here with excuses, you know.
Hey, the baby did come early. Come on, Paul. In fact, so early, he was almost delivered in the hospital elevator.
That would have been an interesting story.
Well, to be fair, the last one was at your home, so
yeah. This guy, Luke, shaved off about an hour and a half from Elliot's record. From
the next one's just going to be
first labor pains to arrival. Yeah, no, the next one. I mean, Kim just needs to stay at the hospital a month prior to her due date.
Yeah. Well, thanks you guys for letting us come on and talk about it. We were just really excited. It was a lot of fun to do, and it was fun to be able to kind of give a little background on kind of where it came from, how it happened, and it wouldn't have been completed without you guys. So we really do appreciate your topping, your icing on the cake after all the hard baking we did.
I say, buddy, anytime you want to do all the hard yards and then just kick the footage over to me, go right ahead. This is great. I had a blast.
I want to say thanks to the Bird Force as well, because we, it was very well received. It wasn't like, you could tell that was appreciated with the team spirit that you guys in this culture of your community. It's awesome. That's why I love Joburg. I don't know all the deep stuff about GI Joe. I'm a more recent fan that got into it.
You do know about Venomous Maximus. Come on, Tim.
I have Venomous Maximus. That's right. That shows how lame I am. No, I'm kidding. But the community is so welcoming that I would have loved to have had something in the Demons thing, but I knew that if we finish this, I just wanted to finish it just so we had. I didn't care if it went on YouTube, but that you appreciated what we did enough that you gave it the attention you did was flattering. So thanks again to all you guys and the community for the support. So it was pretty cool. We're definitely going to do something else. We'll see I have a couple ideas. We'll see where we go from here.
Heck yeah.
Woohoo.
More barrel
Speaking
rolls.
of the Bird Force, I just want to throw this up quickly. Big thank you to the patrons, the Bird Force patrons. I know we typically don't do this at this point in the show, but I just want to also welcome the newest one, One Bad Devil Dog. Thank you for your support. And we hope to have you for a while.
Joining us.
And enjoy the cool stuff. Well, enjoy supporting our cool stuff. So thank you.
We did place on the agenda comic books. It's been a while since we met and talked about Skybound's latest greatest hits. I tapped out some weeks ago. Asher, if you want to stick around, you're welcome, buddy. But we're going to talk about fuddy-duddy old funny books. Maybe
he's like doing the anti-marketing there. He's like, no
I'll-
way would anybody other than us enjoy these books.
I'm gonna get him going on Declassified, and I'm still a couple issues behind, so I'm gonna let you guys chat with some expertise because I'll have nothing.
But thank you for letting us talk about your
thank
playmotion.
you.
It was awesome.
Thank you. Love you guys.
And
Thanks
anyone
for-
listening to this who hasn't seen it, check the link in the check the link in the description below. Give it a hit. Give it a watch. Enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Hey, thanks.
Sleep
Yo,
well
Joe
when you can.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the cool thing. Cheers, you guys.
All right. Now, we are under a bit of a time crunch, boys. Are we going to do 4 books in 40 minutes? Should we
Well,
try?
technically, it's only 3.
Yeah, it's Destro, Scarlett, and Real American Hero.
Okay.
Oh wait,
yeah.
Paul. Oh wait, that's not what Paul meant. Paul
let's
meant
play a game.
Destro 3 and 4.
Let's play a game of everybody give us their high and their low from each
Wow.
respective book.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
let's do that.
what's
That
your-
sounds cool.
Yeah,
like
let's
top and
do
tail,
that.
basically. What
That
did we
feels
really like? What
fair
did we think was a bit iffy?
really not like.
Okay, and in the spirit of that, which book should we begin with?
Whoa.
Let's okay, I'll be let's paper rock scissors. I don't know. I feel like we need like a wheel or something for this.
Let's do 310.
There we
Issue
go. That was-
310 of. Oh,
And seeing as you're at the top, Steve, we'll start with your likes and dislikes. It'll go to me and then it'll go to Rob. How's that sound?
that sounds great.
Whoa. Okay. So Stephen goes first, then Paul, then Rob. I like it.
310 opens with the Fang 3. Boys, I love that
Hate
moment.
this vehicle.
I lost
never
I
thought
hate
I'd
the
see that
vehicle.
in a comic.
I never thought I'd see it in a comic as late as 2024. This is a 20-year-old design, 20-plus-year-old design. It's stubby, it's weird, it's organic looking. It's got the same like kinked rotor blades as the Wildfire or Night Attack helicopter, whichever you prefer. But there it is, lovingly reproduced by Francesco Segala. In the opening splash page of this comic book. Terrific. And not only is it lovingly reproduced, he's got all the details down, like those weird, like vinyl-y stickers that it had with the
The
strange
coloring on it, it looks so accurate.
It is. It's got those tiny little landing skids that look like bird feet. It's all there.
I feel like
Bravo.
Peter Pelletier has one of these. Paul Pelletier, sorry. He
Sure.
probably has one of these. He must. There's no ways he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna
That's
say
my
I think-
high.
Cool. That's
wow.
your high. That's
Okay.
the only high. What's your low?
Oh, I've got to do them both sequentially. I think the rather like unfortunately arbitrary way that the cop, so Dawn Moreno goes back to either watch the cop who slayed her parents like die in a fiery inferno. His cop car is stricken, it's crashed, he can't escape, it's on fire. Like either she's gonna watch him die or she's gonna rescue him. Spoilers! She rescues him. She goes and gets like the jaws of life out of a
Very
nearby
drawn out
like
sequence.
yeah. She gets him out, only to have him like try and gun her down anyway.
Yeah, so I've got things to say about that.
And then he
I
just
don't
gets
know, maybe-
vaporized by an arbitrary like explosion, which is fine. Like conflict and death in
No,
conflict is totally ruthless and unfeeling, and shit just
But
happens.
I agree with that, but this is a comic book and it's supposed to tell a story, and I think that was crap what they did there, or what he did with that whole situation. It's
It was a
absolute
bit
crap.
drawn out. It kind of
He
like
makes-
took its time.
Yeah, and also like he basically was like, oh, okay, Dawn Moreno gets to be a hero after like what is it, a comic and a half of like a moral fucking moment. Sorry, and then she saves him, and then he's like, well, I can't help myself. I'm gonna kill her because look at how high and mighty she is. But fuck that. Sorry, that was the stupidest thing ever.
All right, Paul's
Really
given
hated
his low. What was your high then?
That's
Sorry.
100% is low.
honestly, my high for this was I finished the book. I actually got from one end of it to the other. Like, no, I mean, I felt that there was enough. Like, what I thought was fun for me is it's difficult for me to take one specific thing and go, oh, this was like really great in this book. But I at least could go from the beginning of the end to the end of it without being like mostly like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the flow of what was trying to happen and the fighting and some of the dialogue, and it was cool. It's just unfortunately very hurt by that cop moment, which I hope is maybe some kind of, I don't know, some kind of Deus Ex Machina, something that we don't know that's been inserted into Springfield's population, or maybe there's some, I don't know, something like maybe the population of Springfield has actually like been brainwashed or something, and so maybe that reaction.
I would assume they're all
largely
Cobra
thing.
agents in one degree or another. I mean, not all of them, but I mean, there's families of people there. But surely a person in a position of authority like a policeman is a Cobra guy. He's essentially the Cobra policeman figure.
Yeah, but I just can't buy that somebody all of a sudden becomes like, after all of that, goes, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna revert to my most homicidal maniac ways. It's just stupid. If there's one thing I thought was fun in this book, though, like the one thing that really stands out, I loved the art. I loved the framing of the shots. I enjoyed the Thunder Machine stuff. That was cool for me.
Oh,
and I love
these. Cool.
And I love these like monster versions of the Vipers and things. They're always so creatively done. Anyway, that's like too many good things for me. Rob?
Robbie.
Rob is busy loading and collating his thoughts.
Did you notice how Muskrat has like kind of accelerated a couple of pay grades and is now kind of making leadership decisions? He's coming up with a massive plan, like unilaterally to clone Serpentor or take this Serpentor on ice and reanimate him to fight Serpentor Khan. Like, this is all coming from Muskrat. It's not like he's operating under any kind of special orders. They found a Serpentor body, and he's like, we just need a clone. Get him back to the pit in one piece.
This is GI Joe's plan now. I've decided to going forward. We're going to use this clone of him, and we've got Mindbender, and he's gonna. Okay, Muskrat.
Yeah,
gonna make a typo.
Go off, King.
There's a typo here somewhere.
There is.
Yes, there is.
And I mean, someone definitely clued Larry in on the fact that like this isn't the first time we've seen the remains of original Serpentor surface.
Yes. So as Mindbender says, that arrow wound is a latex prosthetic I applied to confuse anybody who stumbled across my stash. Snake Eyes destroyed the
cover. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
A good cover.
Well, it's a cool little detail, I guess, to kind of like for the people that are obviously, to remember all the stuff,
But Rob, you owe us a high and a low, my friend.
So I think my high, like the initial pages of that interaction between Dawn Moreno and the cop, I think were cool. Before it got drawn out, I quite enjoyed that. It kind of like the not knowing whether or not she is going to kill him or not. But then as you kept adding more pages to it, like, like, oh, okay, she's leaving. Oh, and then he continues to narrate what she's doing. It's like, I can see what she's doing. Oh, she's got the jaws of life. Does it mean you're going to save me? Or does it mean you're not going to save me? Oh, cut away to another thing. Okay, is she going to save him? Oh, maybe she's just going to wave this at him and hold it while she waits. I thought that was pretty cool. That was probably a high before. And I'd say it's simultaneously my high and my low. is that where it starts out interesting and becomes okay.
Disappointing.
Then is this still going on? There's some interesting moments as Baroness gets shot, which is the instigating event for getting Destro involved in this. And also, yeah, there's some little small cliffhangery moments where you're like, oh shit, they actually killed the Joe infiltration team for Cobra Island. And then it turns out they didn't, because the guns are just wide enough to miss that's the page where the spelling mistake is, by the way.
Oh yes.
It's the page that describes the gun pods. I think it's that page.
It's interesting because the
wider part
Raven
of that
doesn't have any
unit.
forward.
Yeah, right there on the left. He hadn't centered it. The gun pods were wider part of that to the freezer unit.
What?
Anyway, we're nitpicking here. That's a nitpick. I mean,
yeah. Editors coming into the magazine. Editors, guys. Quick question about the Raven. Sorry, just because I thought I knew this jet well. Raven doesn't have any forward-facing guns that I know of, other than on the pod.
While Francesco Segala clearly had a Fang 3 to hand, I think we can forgive him not having the far more expensive and far more desirable Night Raven SP.
Don't forget, Francesco is the colorist.
Oh, apologies.
Yeah, or the artist.
Is the writer.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, the artist.
Also,
thanks for.
And also, the artist doesn't make those decisions. The writing does. Not that I'm not going for Larry. I'm going for editing.
I'd say that Paul's Night Raven looks a lot more like the Rise of Cobra one.
Mm-hmm.
In many
It's
respects.
a very updated version.
Yeah.
And also, this is a
accurate to the
question.
toy.
This is a question for the flight jocks that may or may not be in our current chat or in our comments. Does flying Nap of the Earth in a highly sophisticated stealth fighter like a Raven make sense to you? Or should it just not... Shouldn't it have just operated at its regular ceiling? Because that makes it stealth anyway. Like, I understand flying Nap of the Earth to, hide or mask your signal, your radar signal. I get that. But does the Raven need to do that? I don't know. I can't decide if I like or dislike that, because I'd like technical commentary so that I know if yeah.
Well,
it couldn't hurt, is what I'm going to say.
Butfest says it could, but I mean, I think it makes sense because he wants to send the entire strike force together at once. He doesn't want to have those guys climb to the ideal altitude. It's just, let's all get to Springfield as quickly as possible together. That's kind of what I took away from it.
If you're flying closer to the ground, you're not going to be flying as fast as if you're at your
you're going slower.
But
it just feels faster.
I don't know.
You're absolutely right. It seems redundant for them to say engage stealth mode and fly under the radar. It's like,
the one feeds the other. You don't have to do both. Anyway, I think we've given this issue
not gonna
enough
like
time.
put it. Yeah.
Let's move on to another one.
A little bit of enlightenment from our resident pilots. If you are trying to evade guns but need close-in support, Nap of the Earth makes some sense. Right.
There we go.
Okay.
Well,
they are flying they're flying over domestic United States. Like, if there are air defenses, you want to
avoid those.
Yeah, you don't want to present a target at all. So yeah, I guess
tear off lots of roofs.
There you go. Let's leave ARAH and talk about Scarlett.
Our favorite superhero issue comic. Steven's
we also got a nice preview for GI Joe 1 in that issue of ARAH.
I don't really want to talk about that because I just want to.
But it was seen, so we'll wait until we get there. But anyway, yes. Sorry, next one, Steve. Sorry.
Just this from Bart. Even stealth aircraft give off signature. I've been in the tower and I've seen it firsthand. So he could be flying low to try and avoid everything as best as possible.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. He just wants to get this quickly as possible, and it's just
be as careful as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
suppose
curious,
yeah,
Bart, like,
more than speed.
was it something like an F-22? Were they like completely clean? Because, like a stealth, if it's got drop tanks or if it's got any kind of an external ordnance, it's not in its full stealth
I don't know.
mode.
I don't know. I'd imagine stealth just reduces
Buttface.
your signature
Oh.
F111.
That's not a stealth. Anyway, what am I saying?
Stealth
I'm not going to take
knows
the Air Force
about.
servicemen up on this. I'm sure you know your shit. Okay, let's talk about Scarlett.
Yeah. I mean,
What-
yes, let's talk about Scarlett.
What is it all about, boys?
Oh,
What is
he
the
meant the
story?
117. He typoed. So
Sure.
that is a stealth jet.
Very good.
Stink bug.
Stink bug.
There we go.
We used it already to chat up an Air Force guy. All right. I don't know. The most
So this
interesting thing
issue-
about Scarlett
Oh yes, yeah.
is her relationship with Jinx. Always for me, it's something entirely new, a new dimension to the way you understand the
friendship, you
makeup
mean?
of this team. Yeah, a friendship that existed before GI Joe. Like none of the girls had that actually. It seems. They were all kind of non-entities, and then they came into the GI Joe story. They didn't have something like the Scarlet, Tommy, the Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, and Stalker trio. Here we're seeing that comrades in arms who happen to be the female members of the team. Like, cool, awesome. But what is this all about?
Oh, puns.
Like, it's. I just find like, do the means justify the end? I'm wondering if Scarlett made the right move here to begin with. Clearly, Jinx has everything under control. All she's done, it's the Indiana Jones thing. Like the plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Indiana
Yeah.
Jones. So
Yeah, and then Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm just letting you paddle a bit.
it is you bastard. It is completely unaffected by Indiana Jones's presence. If he was absent from the entire plot, the same thing would have happened. The Nazis would have found the Ark, gotten wiped out. End of story.
But the Americans wouldn't have recovered it. But
Maybe.
yes, I know what you mean. I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
he has no impact on the story essentially. That's
Like Scarlett, for all her like positioning as this kind of quirky, cutesy, like girl soldier, she's slaying a lot of dudes. She's doing a lot of damage on both sides of the fence. And for what? I mean, I don't know. I just find this book to be kind of without much substance, just in terms of like what it's setting out to show us.
Well, I think this issue was kind of like not the catch-up issue, but yeah, it was kind of the catch-up issue. It's like they finally get a moment alone. You get to kind of flesh out the relationship more and kind of like set up like what has she been up to. Scarlett gets an update on like what like where do they stand? Is she still is she a bad guy? Is she turned? What's going on? And it's also very much the setup issue, I feel, also for what's coming afterwards. Beyond this miniseries, this is kind of the one that kind of pushes the story forward, which I kind of like, that it's in the story itself where you kind of get like, ooh, Cobra is an up and coming power, and I'm trying to see, what the Arashikage clan will be in this coming war, or with this the way things are shifting. And I kind of appreciated that over like, shoehorning it in at the end, where suddenly the final issue or part of the final issue is just like, this is what we're doing next. I like that the writer came up with a way to kind of incorporate that into the story, which I quite liked.
The thing I like about this book is how scary they posit Storm Shadow. He is the image that I'm flashing on the screen now is my favorite panel from the book, where they've kind of given the blades that Storm Shadow's wielding this kind of jagged edge, which make them look like energy blades, but they're not. It's just really the glint of the steel making them almost look like they're vibrating with this very violent energy. He's doing this kind of wicked double slash, you know,
So
sword
cut
in
up
each
the
hand.
panel.
Yeah,
is cool.
yeah. And the final panel of the book is like Jinx saying, or is it Scarlett? I don't know, I forget. But
Scarlett.
Storm Shadow, they find this weapon. They defeat both the guards and the Cobra forces that are coming to collect it. And it turns out it's a sword, and Storm Shadow picks it up and he begins to wield it. And like the narration is like, that man should not be wielding that. Like that is a very volatile, dangerous combination that we've just unleashed. Like a guy with that guy's skill and that weapon's power problem. So that's exciting to me. That's like, let's take these super soldiers and bump them up a notch so that in the coming conflict where it's Cobra and freaking Decepticons, like these guys are going to be potent warriors.
So, for me, okay, so there's a lot for me to like about this book. I have actually consistently enjoyed the Scarlett books. I've enjoyed the journey. I've enjoyed the way Scarlett's written. I've said all of this before in our previous episodes, so I'm not going to get into that. But this one, the one thing that this adds to the mix for me was I loved a lot of the... so this was very art-heavy for me. Like, I enjoyed the story very much, but I just felt that with a lot of talkiness, they added some very cool art to go with it. And there's some great shots in the book. The one that Steven's showing on the YouTube version now, which is Storm Shadow cutting up the panel. But also, there's a great one of him also jumping in the air towards the camera. There's a cool moment of Jinx in the corner while they're infiltrating the upper floor. I really appreciate this writing because maybe it's just because I enjoy the whole ninja side of things. But I love that, for example, as soon as I said it went down to like to level 44, in the back of my head I was like, but 44 is bad luck in Asian culture, you know?
Yeah,
like
well, the number 4.
You got rewarded for your deep nerdcore knowledge, Paul. Bravo.
I love that. Yeah, so I love that they came around and actually, and that came full circle for me. So yeah, this book's been fun. I see some chats about how some guys may not like the art. I personally like it. I like it being very energetic and kinetic. It is on that good side of the kinetic style of artwork. You know, there's a lot of artwork that I would say is on the bad side of it, but that's all subjective, really. I enjoyed this, and I even again, I just wanted to put this out there. I really don't think Scarlett and Jinx are shipping anything. I think it's just the whole conversation they have is purely about things in their lives, things that they're trying to achieve, and things in the story. And I don't think I'm sorry if I'm going to sound like one of those people, but I did appreciate that conversation had nothing to do with anybody else. And Hans, in the chats, you even mentioned that this book definitely passes the Bechdel test. It most certainly does. And I think sometimes, and looking back at the previous 3, I think sometimes people...
Why are we even talking about the Bechdel test in 2024? I'm sorry. That's a pretty low bar,
exactly.
I'm afraid. Why are we seeing 2 trans characters, or maybe a pansexual, or intersex individual, having a conversation with another intersex individual? Come on, man. You need to pass the intersex test. Damn it.
Give me the furry test. Give me a furry.
Jokes. Okay, but I hear you guys. But what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction to this relationship between them is a romantic one. And I still feel it's not. I still feel it's just...
You still feel it's not.
Friendship.
I think it's ambiguous enough that it can be read both ways. And that I appreciate that you can kind of be on one side or the other. You know, girls can have a friendship, you know, the same as like guys can just have a friendship.
You know,
what I appreciated most about this is that it's a talk-heavy issue, but the talking is happening across action as well.
Yes,
you see
Love
them
it so much.
You see these cool angles of them in that little passageway. It's a very functional conversation, but it happens across action that's happening inside the issue, which I like. It's not just constant shots of, you know, they are the kind of like, you know, shots of them just talking, but then a lot of it is across stuff that's happening elsewhere. So the action is still moving forward while they're talking. That's probably my favorite thing about this issue. If I had to choose a low point, I don't really have a low point. I think for me, the low point is that personally, the art feels a little looser in this issue than it has in previous ones. I mean, there's still there's a great focus when you know, for sort of the money shots, the full page spreads, but a lot of it feels looser in kind of the connecting tissue than I've enjoyed in previous issues. So in that way, I enjoyed the art a little bit less, but still, it is still fantastic art.
Cool, man. I love that word that you use, the connecting tissue. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great turn of phrase for this. And then just also, guys, there's something I want to quickly say about Storm Shadow acquiring the sword, but I also just want to say hello to happy birthday, Hans. It was Hans' birthday recently.
Hello to happy birthday, Hans.
I wanted to acknowledge it here on the show because I remembered it, and I'm actually on the show. So Hans,
Heck
hope you had a good one, man.
Finally in his 50s. Congrats.
Looks like he's in his 20s.
Yeah. So Steve mentioning that thing about how Storm Shadow is being set up as a player, as a big player, or as a possible super weapon for Energon, or as a super powered being, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing here, but just as one of the superpowers. It's a cool take. For me, I immediately, when I saw, and this is why I love this ending of the book, the cliffhanger, is it can go any which way. I immediately thought, well, they're going to play Storm Shadow as inherently bad first. Okay, interesting. You know, that's how I thought about it in my head. And I'm very excited to see what happens next. And that's what I want from a book like this. I want it to get me excited. So, yeah.
Yeah, what's coming next? And yeah, excited to see what does come next.
All right, Destro.
Whoa.
So we haven't spoken about 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I guess
3
I just
and
want
4.
to say that it's my favorite of the 3.
Incredible.
For the simple
it's
reason,
so sterile. You know, there's no girly shit going on. It's just put a man on the screen.
It's done new things. It's done some new things. Not least of which, it's finally posed the question, like, and I can't believe the storyline has never been played out before, or at least to the best of my knowledge, it hasn't. That, of course, Destro's selling arms to the U.S. Army.
I love that.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Of course he's in bed with GI Joe.
Which makes sense, because I mean, we've always understood that the way that that's how arms dealers have often been portrayed.
Rob,
I think even
for a second. I think. Oh, whew, Steve's not a robot.
I'm not a robot, guys.
In the past, you know, we've established that in the past. Yes, that's why he was, you know, why they were, and they even touch on it here, where they show some of his backstory of the history of the Destro clan, that he was selling to both sides. But yeah, I think you're right, Stephen. That concept or that idea has been brought forward into the modern day, where it makes sense that he would be selling to everyone.
He's in bed with General Flag. He's in bed with Cobra Commander. It's amazing. And my sort of corollary, like smaller, like happy place on this issue, issue 4, I speak of specifically, is the fact that, it's revealed that the assassin that attempted Destro's life while he's up in his sort of his clan monastery or mausoleum in the Highlands, Chameleon, turns out it's the head of hybrid technologies.
That's exactly what I said. I said
Astoria
that she was
Carlton
behind
Ritz.
the attack, and that
Amazing.
Rob was right.
Rob was right, but let me just spin out from this. My favorite little point about it is the fact that Astoria Carlton Ritz, in her cartoon episode, The Girl Who Loved Powerglide, has this knack of screwing up technology. Like, she just can't come into contact with it, otherwise she'll wreck it. So they've actually made this a character trait in this book in a more realistic fashion, if you want to call it that.
Fluke technology.
She was experimented on by her old man, and she has a sort of built-in EMP weapon that disables technology. That's why Destro's wrist rockets don't work against her. That's why when Scrap Iron fires a missile at her, it also goes dead. Like, she's got this dead zone for technology protecting her.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it seems to like Domino. She's like, it's almost like Domino's mutant
Like luck.
ability.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's called the fluke system. I love that. I thought that was very cool.
And
It's
did you
clever.
notice that the missile that Scrap Iron uses is a Fang missile? I mean, the artist absolutely referenced a Fang missile, Fang helicopter missile.
100%.
It's a goodie, though. So, Steve, just so that I'm clear, because we are looking at this is book
Issue 4.
4.
Mhm.
So, are we talking about 3 and 4 kind of combined in some way?
Yeah.
I think the time crunch is upon us, boys. If we do it any other way,
Okay.
we're going to run
No,
over
that's
2 hours.
fine.
And I'm loath to do that.
no, that's
oh, did
cool.
you notice that Destro, he uses his classified gun in the art, but it's the gold one, which I think
Yes.
Exactly. It's the Pimp
that-
Daddy one.
Hell
Rob would
yeah.
know. You've got a Pimp Daddy Destro, don't you?
Hell yeah, dude.
Good boy.
It's freaking awesome. I'm so happy we get to see that in the comic.
I'm just sorry they didn't go full Pimp Daddy. I mean, he's still wearing tartan. He's
He
looking
should've.
very
He should've.
Scottish. Love the gloves. They're like the racing gloves. It's a strong look, man. Hope someone from the GI Joe design team is taking notes.
I'm sure they are.
And Steve, what didn't you like, man? What is the thing that was like bugging you about this? I feel like you would have said so already, but
I feel like there's nothing that's bugging him. He is
He's really just
head
loving
over
this book.
heels for
Okay.
Destro. That's why he's so
Yeah.
happy Baroness got shot in the other comic. He was like, yes,
he's
finally.
all tears for
and
fears
then-
now.
Well,
I
just jumping back
Okay,
to ARAH, isn't it stupid that Destro sends his lady love into an active conflict zone with the Dreadnoks, not his personal like inner circle IG like main men. He sends them. He sends her in with the Dreadnoks, and only once she's been shot, like lung shot, he's like, prep everyone for instant transport, all the heavy equipment. I'm like, dude, you should have just rolled strong, man. Like, lead with that. Don't send your girl on her own.
So,
Ugh.
what I've loved, I'm gonna sort of paraphrase here because 3 and 4 are kind of the same book in a lot of ways. But I just want to say what I've loved about 3 and 4, Destro 3 and 4 so much is that I agree with Stephen. We've been getting like cool answers to questions that we've always had as GI Joe fans. And to that, I say that I feel like these 2 books kind of try in their own way are trying to enhance certain elements of what came before, or maybe not trying to enhance, but explain that to new readers. But that has, as a side effect, enhanced certain things from GI Joe. Although I think we've always known that Destro's sold to the good guys just as much as the bad guys. And
Yeah,
of
it's
course
not
we've always
explicitly
known
stated.
No, but it's
never
never
been
shown before.
spelt out. Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
notion that maybe Destro is responsible for the Mobat, that's sacrilegious. It's very
So maybe
sacrilegious.
not the specifics of the vehicles, but definitely the bullets that they shoot in their guns.
But having this as
think
like
turn everything on its
Yeah.
head. Destro like worked up the designs for the USS Flag. Like, I don't know. Make
No.
Mars the hidden power behind every weapon on the field, and all of a sudden the balance of power shifts.
I don't know if it goes that far that he designs every single item that they use, but I mean he definitely supplies them with the bullets and you know, to a certain degree the guns. I don't think it goes as far as every single part of every single thing. I mean the concept of an aircraft carrier is, you know, the military builds those, you know. But it
there's
is wild
one
to
criticism-
extrapolate all that way out. But anyway.
But companies like Mars, for example, would create firing control systems and would control the
parts of it would be put into the things that were
navigation.
designed perhaps independently.
Exactly. So the fact that they've lit this up, that they've like put it up in neon lights is great, because now you kind of know why Cobra Commander also doesn't really fully trust Destro, and why he's kind of right to do so, because Destro kind of knows everything that's going on, and you know, he could kind of play it either which way. And Cujo actually alluded to this in an earlier episode where he mentioned something about Destro asked Larry Hama who he felt was the most dangerous person in the world of G.I. Joe, and And why is it Destro? I think was that how that question went down. And apparently Larry Hama sort of softly acknowledged that we weren't there to see that, but that's what Cujo reckons is the whole thing. And yeah, that tracks. That tracks is why Destro is one of the big bads and one of the real big bads. But anyway, I'm sort of I digress.
I love how Destro gets his ass kicked in his own
Thank you.
own title in his own book.
Yes.
He's getting the floor. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, and yet he still comes up on top. Like that's an interesting position to put your character, because like flip the script, Scarlett doesn't seem to encounter anything that she can't handle. Whether it's Arashikage pawns or guards or Cobra agents.
Not true. At the very end,
picking herself up.
Not true. In this most recent book, she actually goes, I really hope Storm Shadow arrives when it's her and Jinx taking on that top floor bunch. So there is a limit to what she can handle. But I hear what you're saying, Steve. Like, for the most part, these characters have always been unstoppable in their own books.
Destro is soundly defeated by Chameleon at every turn. Ranged weapons, hand-to-hand, vehicle combat. He's done.
But I think that's also because he isn't prepared. You can almost liken to him like a Batman. If he's prepared for something, he has accounted for it.
Time.
He was not prepared for this. This was something completely unexpected and unseen. And I think he's even happy to have been defeated, because he's like, wow, okay, you got me.
Enough.
I mean, I was prepared enough to protect myself against a sniper bullet, but I didn't know about this. And I think he was as happy to be defeated as he was, to still be alive. So I think, prep time is kind of what he needs. And that's where he kind of comes up again in the fourth issue, where he's like, yeah, your thing can do the stuff. I kind of feel like I figured it out. This will overcome that. So he needed to be defeated to kind of just show more of his personality and the way that he kind of approaches things. And also to set up the entire situation of issue 4, which will hopefully lead into a very interesting conclusion to the series. I'm very excited to see. Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
I'm a fan.
Attack.
Yeah.
So,
hey, it's not cyborg overkill. It's completely AI overkill this time.
Well, same difference.
Not same difference. You guys like the cyborg, or Paul, you like the cyborg reading of the character. I've always wanted him to be 100% robot. I think, Rob, you're on my side of the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but understand that even though I like the cyborg reading of him, he is an AI. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, he's basically always been that.
It goes in the shell, so to speak. Sorry to quote the name of a film and great manga.
Great.
Okay, manga.
How could you?
But it's just something quickly with the Destro book as well that I just felt like was kind of important before I get completely derailed. Firstly, my absolute favorite, highlight personal moment in that book that I loved was the dialogue between Mercer and Scrap Iron, which I thought was unbelievably awesome. And Mercer just telling him outright, and I hate you. Straight on. By the way, I hate you. And Scrap Iron really is psychotic, and it's cute. It's like, don't act like that doesn't excite you. You're a creepy little pyrophile and I hate you. I can understand that. But if this hardware is really so cutting edge, it might not be theirs. And I love this. This is so fun because, Mercer's just like, I'm here. I'm surrounded by assholes. I think it.
But I think overall the Skybound comics of GI Joe currently are very, very good. So they're set within the Energon universe. I'm still very excited to see issue 1 of GI Joe.
And we're also seeing Destro's secret weapon, and his other secret weapon, the one that people never talk about. His charm. Destro's got Riz, and in that whole conflict and the whole conflict between him and Chameleon, it's or that show that I wanted to say showcase, but showdown between the two of them. He's talking the whole way through. He's Spider-Manning it, and there's a moment where it does break her a little bit because she's like, "Stop talking. You're making this weird." And he knows that he's doing that, and Destro is that. He's he's got Riz, he's got charisma. He knows how to play that game as well, and that's his secret weapon. And we see that, and we have seen that throughout the book for the most part. But I kind of feel it's a secret weapon. And then also, I feel like Destro's book is kind of a great juxtaposition with Cobra Commander's, or should I say it is a juxtaposition in the sense that Cobra Commander, we back him because we're like, yeah, Cobra Commander, like, you got Cobra Law and they hate you, and you're gonna show them, but at the same time, we're kind of like, you're a psychopath and you're enjoying this, and we're kind of like, cool, it's cool that you survived this. But Destro, we get this like, you're a bad guy, but you're more honorable, and it kind of feels more like a hero's journey. Yeah. So like it always feels like Cobra Commander surviving.
No. I think this book is placing Destro correctly. Like, he shouldn't be this swashbuckler. He is a conniving, scheming, making deals with everybody kind of guy.
Yeah.
With this like shit-eating metal grin at all times.
Well, I mean, you could say there's a certain type of honor where he's honoring his ancestors and their way of life. I mean, I think
by being double crossing.
Yeah, by being a double crosser. Like, he has this, there's a twisted honor to him, I think.
Also,
like,
Cobra
old school
Commander
Destro was apocalypse, survival of the fittest kind of guy. This Destro is wheeler dealer weasel type character with a cool metal mask.
Yeah, but
he's
I think
not
he
the
can
biggest
see
dude in
limits.
the room anymore. He's not he's not this hulking like gentle giant. He's
like I said,
he's
sleazier.
He's
sleazy, but I think he can see a very big picture where he can see the limit towards how much he can sell. He has to be able to balance all of these different sides fighting each other. And the thing is, if they kill each other too much, he will have no one to sell to in the future. So he has to there's a balancing act going on there between all these different sides. Where he has to keep them alive enough that he can keep profiting off their deaths.
Also, he's trying to figure out what this technology is as well. That's been introduced to him, that he's heard about from Flag's, redacted paperwork. It's from Flag's intel. There's a lot of stuff that's like going down, and also he survived that blizzard, bro. He went in through that whole thing about how he turned himself into the base, into the to the US Air Base. That whole vibe, like that surviving, that pushing himself through, that sheer determination, is very different to Cobra Commanders. And that is actually, in a weird way, more honorable. Because Cobra Commanders is more almost insidious. And I find Destro's to be less so. But
the snake and the rat.
Ah.
All right, boys. I think we're going to call it a day, a night, a morning.
Yes. But as we
three ventures, Destro is the one that has my delight.
And I like that. I like that we all kind of have our favorites.
They're different. Yeah, I mean, Destro is very not complex, but it makes you think a lot. I think Scarlett is just awesome, cool action going down, and ARAH is nice when you want to fall asleep at night.
My question to you both, as we point our feet to the door and bid everyone adieu for another week, where is ARAH going?
I have no idea.
Do you foresee a way to nowhere?
Do you foresee a way out of this?
to nowhere.
Is there going to be some miracle cure that like makes all the mutancy drop
No,
off?
I don't think so. I mean, what's the point of that? Then you're kind of undoing this. It's like it was all a dream. This is the situation. You have to move forward from here. And that's just how it is. They're all mutants now. And they're all fighting each other, and I think this is essentially just an internal battle now, where it's kind of been stripped down to its basics, where it's literally just Joe versus Cobra versus Destro versus Serpentor. That's kind of the situation going forward. It's not about like big conflicts in different countries and trying to tell more tighter special mission stories. That it's setting itself up to be this eternal conflict between these four sides. That's kind of my conception of what ARAH is right now.
So, yeah, ARAH.
Sadly, it's heading towards the 50-cent bins, says Peter Malone.
Oh, definitely.
Bombshell. Oh.
Steve, and guys, I mean, we've been chatting about if we should carry on talking about this book. And I have been very much like, I don't want to carry on talking about this book, because for various reasons. One of them being that I don't think you want to hear specifically me, bitch about this thing every
I don't.
weekend.
I hate it when
I can't imagine that's fun to listen to.
No, absolutely not. And it feels like we're being repetitive in our coverage of ARAH. So I think if we could take a break from it, like give it like a couple of issues, 4 or 5 issues, come back to it and see like where is it at this point, and if it's still sitting where it's at now, I think it's very fair to kind of just focus on the future. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
My
create
apologies
like
to our listeners who do like to hear it week to week, or a coverage of it. Text us. We'll give you a blow by blow. We will continue to read it, but I think we'll start not subjecting the audience to our criticisms. But yeah, I mean, please hit us up in the comments. Hit us up on direct messenger if you want to talk about ARAH all day.
Crazy.
But on the flip side to that, if you are fans of the channel, there is a new venture focused entirely on ARAH called Chasing Joe, where I'm basically just backseat while Ben Flying Retro, originally of Talking Joe fame, is leading the pod. He is collecting. He's on a mission to collect all 155 plus extras of the original Marvel run. He's buying them completely out of sequence and talking about his most recent purchase week to week. So I don't know what comic book's coming up next. Sometimes he doesn't even know what's coming up next. Whatever happens to pass his peepers at a price that he's willing to pay, we will talk about on the show. So we're jumping around. We did issue 63 last week. This week, let me not blab, but it's a good one. It's a good one.
Spoilers.
There's an irony that's emerging. It seems like we did an issue, and the cover date was September. We're going to do an issue, and the cover date was September, and the next, I think, possibly 2 issues after that are September's. So if you're deep into the lore, or have access to Google, you could work out the small pool of books that we could possibly be talking about. But it's just ironic that all of these September books happen to be on the slab in September.
Ironic. Like
Insane.
a dud on an aeroplane.
Well, before we leave, I just want to put Peter out of his misery. This is the milk tart, by the way. As people say, this is some sort of like custody type.
Because
dessert.
my spa, I'm only fetching milk tart later this afternoon at Spa.
Yeah,
actually,
it is
not
Spa.
later, just now.
This is Spa made milk tart.
Spa milk tarts are good. They're great.
So there you go. They're delicious. They're fantastic.
Lekker Sondagmiddag hier.
Met 'n melktertie. Ja, dis die beste, ja.
Sunday afternoon.
Delicious. Well, everyone, have a lovely weekend. Catch you on 3, 4, 6, which will probably be I don't know. Are we going to be delayed? I don't know. Comic-Con Africa is happening for Paul and myself this coming week. We're very much in high gear, getting ready to set up and exhibit our competing, brands and products, and see who makes the most money by the end.
Ooh, interesting.
We are rivals.
Does that happen?
No, not at all. I'm inventing drama right now.
Love it.
Your drama went over my head. I was like, what?
What? Yeah, he's already in the trenches. Like he's got that 1,000-yard Comic-Con stare.
I'm like locked
Once
in.
again, let's flash our patrons up on that wall. Thanks, boys and girls and undisclosed, for your support.
Fellow
month to
humans.
month. Really, really awesome of you. YouTube channel members are currently being treated to my playtimes. I'm constantly wading through rivers of muck to shoot
And
my
also,
toys.
I think the next time you see us, this might look a little bit different. So,
Oh wow,
Changes.
fascinating.
Ooh.
Ooh, I like to hear that. This will look the same.
No, not this, not behind me. I'm talking about the screen.
This will look different.
Yeah,
Paul is
looking
guys.
for
Paul is
the-
shaving. He's not going to
No,
be our Keanu
maybe.
Reeves anymore. He's going to be our
Dude, I've already had
Frodo Baggins.
what's his? No, God, no! Please, there's no way.
Yeah, you look exactly like Frodo
you're
Baggins.
more Frodo Baggins, just because.
I'm more like Sam, I think. Oh, Mr. Frodo.
Thanks again
He's
to
starting to
Tim
look like
Wilde
Honest
and
Abe
Asher
in a cool way.
Wilde and the Wilde production team for the awesome playmotion. Link is in the
Yes.
description below. Once again, if you want to check out Madman's Lair. Thank you to the folks who joined us live in the chats. It's been awesome. You guys are a bunch of loose
I'm loving
cannons.
Rob's
I tell you.
beard.
Hell yeah. Well,
Mm.
love it while it lasts. I'm shaving it off.
And thanks to everyone listening to this in the
It's on
future.
road to nowhere.
All right,
Enjoy it.
criminals.
Berg.
Bounce. Yo,
Bounce, Berg.
yo.
Berg
Push your
bounce.
butt.
Berg.
Fly kick.